Guys, tonight is the night. We are going to automate this tier 3 green science, okay? You're missing viral content. What is Sneeko doing? How do I even find him? Oh shit, do you think he's...
Everybody, be safer.
Do you think he's done with the Kanye stuff?
2023 is going to be a great year. 2022 was a great year for breaking down the Matrix Dam. And it's very fitting that it ends like this. After all the allegations in April and everything, I genuinely wish the best for them. I'll see you tomorrow, chat. I love you. I love you, chat. See you tomorrow. Bob and Weave, you already know. Bro, you already know. You already know. This is a great stream, bro. This is a great stream. Chat, you my family. We're family. You know that? You know that? I love talking to y'all. I have so much fun on stream. I read every single person in the chat. I look at everybody on locals. We have a great community there that I've been talking to. Everybody.
How do you think these numbers are real? 11,000 watching? Or do you think they gassed the numbers up in the back end or something?
In the you already know. I genuinely look forward. This is the best part of my day. I love streaming. I don't want to drag it out, and also don't want to encourage people to be chronically online all the time and to be gaming and to be all like it's time to go outside. Like right now, I'm gonna go get dinner, hang out with some girls, just enjoy life too. Because it doesn't help if we stew in our worry, we stew in fear. It doesn't help. The best thing that we can do is get stronger. I've been to the gym the past 6 days in a row. I was in the gym. That's why I was late. An hour late today. I was in the gym doing bench, and it's been a great year for me as well. I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh god, I'm dying, dude. I'm domsing hard right now. I've been domsing all day. Oh, okay. What do we got going on here? How much do you think Sneeko can bench? I feel like he's pretty lean. I feel like I've seen shirtless pictures of him when he did the modeling stuff. He seems pretty lean. I don't know how big he is. I have no idea. But if he does a moderate amount of physical activity, I don't even know what the norms are for men. I have no idea because so many people lie on the internet. I don't know what the norms are for anything. Tate, Dick Riders are going through a lot today. Sad. Yeah, true. 50 kg. I feel like I don't know. Now I feel like every guy can just do 60 by default, but that's probably not true. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Beacons. Why is Sneeko saying the hard R in every other racial slur on a stream? I have no idea. I don't know. You have an ideal weight goal for your height? I don't know, dude. I feel like men look the best when they're big and they have 12 to 14% body fat. That, in my mind, that's the ideal male body. We'll see if we get there someday, okay? Neural gel, 20% or 20 seconds. Really? Damn. 12 to 14 might be a little lean. Maybe 14 to 16. No, I think 12 to 14. I feel like from Pixel in the best. I feel like 12 to 14, 15% body fat. When you're big, I think it looks really, really, really good. But for me personally, I think I like bigness in guys, I think more than leanness in guys in terms of aesthetic. I'm not as big of a fan as leanness, actually even for women. I don't think I like leanness as much as bigness. Can you even judge purely on percentage? Doesn't it look different on different people? Yeah, I mean, these are like approximations, sure. Name a celebrity that looks like this so we can visualize it. I think almost every single celebrity is geared the fuck out. So they're going to be very lean and very big. I don't know if like celebs are like good. I'm trying to think of like who has like a... What did 12 to 14% is very lean though? Well, yeah, it is. But I think when people think of like ideal body, they're thinking like beach, like 7 to 9% body fat is I think what a lot of people like think of. What did Christian Bale look like for the Batman movies? He was big. I wonder how lean he was. What body fat do you think this is here? What do you think for this? People are saying 15, 16. This is like close to what I would say is like ideal. Like he's pretty big. He's pretty big. Boy, he's tall as fuck too, isn't he? Isn't he like 6'4" or something? Am I crazy? I might be making that up. Oh, okay, 6 feet tall. 12 or below, 7 to 10, pushing 35. I think 18. Okay, we got numbers all over the chat. I think this looks good. He doesn't have like an ultra fucking rigid six pack. Maybe he's not posing well for this picture either though. But like I don't think you need like the ultra defined, or at least for me personally, like this is too lean for me. But like everybody on like the Marvel roid sauce, I think has like these insanely fucking lean big bodies. It's like too much. And just in terms of like what I would consider to be. Don't pro bodybuilders target 3% or something stupid low while competing? Yeah, for like one day. But that's like a whole other world of like insane shit. Look up Brad Pitt Fight Club. Jesus Christ. This feels like pretty lean to me, right? Do you think? It's hard to tell. This seems like fairly lean. Not like ultra lean, like pretty lean. Is this before everybody started like the omega juice? He's too small? I don't know. Brad Pitt Fight Club is ideal. That's what we just looked up. No, like very lean. He has perfect abs. Look at John Tan Majors, Creed 3, Trust He's Big. What do you think, what do you think he is in this movie? What body fat do you think this guy is? The Creed dude. Damn, he's big as fuck. 11, 14, 9, 10, 11. Jonathan Majors. What movie was he in? Oh, jeez. Did you know that Michael B. Jordan was in The Wire? Yeah. What was the name of the Russian dude that he fought against in Creed 2? That dude was just fucking huge. Oh my god. How tall? This guy was pretty tall compared to the Creed guy. This guy looks like he could just like kill a wall, like destroy buildings. Oh my god. That's like, this is 20% body fat? Do you really think so? That sounds really high to me. There's no way, no? Michael B is 6'1". Someone in chat said 20%. I think at 20, you're starting to look a little bit like I do strongman competitions. At 20%, you're like, yeah, I'm fat, but I squat 600 pounds. Look up Daniel Craig Casino Royale. You're asking a bunch of virgins to sit on the computer all day? Yeah, they probably know these numbers better than anybody because all they do is look this shit up, okay? You think the average gym bro is getting fucking DEXA scans to figure out their fucking composition? Yeah, this is good. I think this is good. This is good. I like this. This is like a good 15. You think? Like, decently big. Got a nice tummy here. There are some abs. They're hiding under there. Nice chest. Rated out lats. You know, we're good. Or traps, sorry. You know, this is what? This is 18, 15, 20. We're kind of like voting on chat. LTG is live on Trovo. What is Trovo? Why not just do Rumble? Body fat percentage guess. Damn, I don't know. These abs don't even look real. Is this a Photoshop? I have no idea. People in fitness are obsessed with body fat percentage at DEXA scans were all the rage a few years ago. Maybe if you're like posting on like the bodybuilding forums or something, but I don't like your average gym goer, even your average like pretty ripped gym goer, I doubt is like actually doing DEXA scans. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's probably not the case. Look up Liver King. He looks great for a natty. Liver King is my #1 natty inspiration, okay? If it ever came out that he wasn't natty, I don't know if I could handle it. I think I'd lose it. He's one of the most inspirational natty diet, natty lifters, natty hormone dudes of all time. I love that guy.
Turtle shell looking abs.
True. Body fat percent from a bodybuilder.
What's your ideal body type?
Jesus. Oh, it's one of those things where you can't adjust the volume. Nice. Okay, this is kind of bullshit. These pictures are kind of bullshit because these men are not at similar levels of fitness, right? Like the 25% and beyond, these guys are all like skinny fat, no? Like even the 20% guy is skinny fat. The 15% guy lifts, but like it's like 15 and below are all lifters, and then 20 and above are just like skinny fats. Well, of course they're gonna look, but it's not. You're not picking body fat here. You're just picking how big they are. Like 25% might have muscle, but like the thing is that this is like a shot with good lighting, and it looks like he's trying to pose. I don't know. Give like for how 25%? I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe. 20% lifts. They might a little bit, but not compared to like this guy. Not compared to this guy. Like if this 10 to 12% gained some fat, do you think he'd look like the 20% guy? Do you think so?
Yeah. Why 50%? Like, why not?
Okay, because like if you're too fucking ripped, you just red flag, and if you're it's not my thing. It's some people's thing, but mine's 15%.
Okay, so right on the dot.
Yeah, right on the dot.
What's your ideal body type?
Oh, nice. Based. Okay. Oh my god, I thought of the sickest thing. I thought of the sickest fucking contraption earlier. I should have showed this earlier. Okay, only a few viewers get to know about this, okay? Do you know how people have trouble picking up their doggy droppings and stuff outside because they're too lazy to do it, because all pet owners are? I thought of this revolutionary idea, okay? Imagine if there's like a special animal area, okay? And there's like this contraption on the ground, okay? And what it actually is there's like a door here. So what happens is when your doggy needs to go to the bathroom, you go outside and you stand where the door is, and then you let your dog, you know, do his business here. Woof. And then what happens is while he's going to the bathroom, the door opens and both of you are fucking incinerated. Because people that bring pets to apartments are just the worst type of fucking people. If you want to bring cats here, that's fine because they stay in your apartment. But people with dogs are fucking disgusting. I'm fucking done with it. I'm just done with it. I'm so done with dogs in apartments. I hate them all, dude. If I could poison all of them in a video game, I would do it. I just don't know how because I'm too lazy to read it online. But they're just gross. They pee in the elevators. They poop outside. Nobody picks it up. They just pee on the sidewalk. People are just like, oh, my dog is just right here, like peeing on the sidewalk that you guys all walk. Like, you don't mind, do you? That like I'm like 5 steps outside the front door and he's just pissing all over. Like, it's just fucking disgusting, dude. I hate dogs in apartments. I hate dogs in apartments. It's so gross. God, it's so gross. Ugh. Jesus. Fuck me, dude. Sorry, hold on. I don't even want to know, dude. I hung out with this person, and they, I just remember before sleeping, she's like, I need you to go to my car and get me something that helps me sleep. And I'm like, yeah, what do you need? She's like, it's in a baggie on my door. And it was a bag full of powder, and it's labeled Red Dragon. And I'm like, do I even want to know what this is? Jesus Christ. That person was was a cool person though, okay? Do you ever see Starlight from The Boys Plastic Surgery? Yeah, I don't know. There's a name for this. The girls are doing this. I don't know if this is like a baby thing. Like, in my opinion, something happens with babies. Like, they're born and they look like fucking the dead Voldemort baby at the end of the last Harry Potter movie. But something happens around like 6 months where like their face like fills out, and every time they smile and they laugh and they look, and they've got these like chubby, adorable baby faces. And I love those faces on women. I think Mel has like a really cute, every girl, I think most girls I've dated have had like really nice, like really cute cheeks. I just really like that. I think it's cute. And I've noticed that girls have these like roundish faces, and then they get them like, you can stick needles in, you can suction cup out your fat, and then you look like these fucking Skeletors. Why the fuck would you do this? It's so gross. Ugh. Like, if you want to look like you do meth, just do meth. At least you can have the fun before you get to the appearance. Jesus. Damn, dude. That Stone Toss comic triggered the fuck out of his right-leaning audience. Nice podcast.
Hello and welcome to Ways to Change the World. I'm Krishnan Gurumurthy, and this is the podcast.
I'm good. Blinkers. The fuck, I retweeted it. You guys should know it if you follow my Twitter account. Ever considered playing RimWorld again? No, fuck off, dude. This is after I finish this Factorio run, we're done with autism games for a year, okay? Oh, it was this comic.
Obliviated.
Explain it for us morons. Well, I mean, here on the left, it's probably some conservative being like, globalists, losers. But then on the right, he's like, oh my god, Rome. Even though they were kind of like imperialists / globalists as well. Zero people laughed. Zero people laughed. This was the guy I was talking about earlier.
His depth and his lats, his big back. Here we go. Woo!
This is the weakest DGGer.
Now we're going straight into the exercise, which is close grip pull-ups. So normally we do 3 sets, 10 to 12 reps. We go 10 here because we're going to superset it with leg raises. And hang. Exhale. And pull. Up. Good. Down. Up. Good.
Tarantino hated the Dune cinematographer.
I always found that you have been a big proponent of the cinematic experience, the theater experience. And with Hateful Eight, bringing back these 70mm projectors, I went and saw Hateful Eight in the Roadshow. It was one of the greatest experiences I ever had in a movie theater. I saw this twice in 35, once in 70. There's something about film that I don't know that I could ever explain in words why it feels so magical, but it does. Yeah. We had Roger Deakins on the show recently, who's been actively shooting very digitally for a long time now.
Name drop. Can we pause on your name drop just for a second?
Just for a second. It is a name drop, but we had him on, and we're talking about digital versus film. Sicario, Skyfall, even now 1917, Mendez's film, all shot digitally. When I spoke to you at Django, we talked about the idea of digital versus film, and you said something along the lines of, like, if you shoot digitally, you go to the theater, it's like watching TV at home. Something along those lines, not to take you out of context. Where do you feel the technology has gotten to a point now where you can make it look like film? And when you talk to someone like a Roger Deakins, who is very adamant about digital being able to look like film if done correctly, what are your thoughts on that? Because for me, I'm a film guy. I know you're a film guy. Yeah. Richardson shoots on film, obviously. So what are your thoughts on someone like a Deakins, who's one of the greatest cinematographers ever, saying that digital can achieve that look? And do you think we've gotten to a point where we can?
He doesn't want to spend the time lighting. It's that fucking simple.
Is that really it?
Yeah, of course it is. That's it. That's what it is. He doesn't want to spend the time lighting. All right, what you see is what you get. All right, he looks at the monitor. There's no 5 processes that he's going to have to go to. All right, he's not going to work through a degrading process that what's actually playing at the theaters. That he has to know that, oh, I got to get this. So 4 steps down the line, when they see it in at a movie theater, it's going to look like that. All right. He looks at it in the monitor on the day. That's it. What you see is what you get. All right. And then, of course he can shoot.
I've always heard that Tarantino is like a huge stickler for like shooting on actual film, and he hates like digital everything. But I can't tell if there was a good reason for it or if he's just pretentious. I'm not sure.
Night scenes. In
Sicario.
In Sicario or World War I. All right. And he doesn't have 4 trucks. All right, full of lighting equipment, just trying to get an image. Yeah, it's just it's easier for him. It's easier for him. He can, and he doesn't have to do that much on the day. All right, there's a lot of stuff he can do later that will take care of a lot of things.
The work is after, not during.
Yeah, I mean, I like cinematography where it's. No, what you see is what you get is what you do on the day. Now you can You can do a bleach print, and there's all kinds of little things you can do. But if it's not captured, if it's not captured on the day, then you didn't capture it. You didn't do it. Now, there is a whole lot of even shooting on film where people window all kinds of stuff. Like they do an interpositive, and then they can window everything. And to that degree, it's like, you know, before, you could watch a movie and think, hey, that movie has really good cinematography. Well, you have no idea if it actually has a good cinematographer or not now. I mean, the star, all right, could have just been windowing the entire process, and they just got an image, so they weren't fucking around on the day of shooting. And then planning on doing all these windows when it came, okay, well, let's bring the sky out a little bit more here, let's bring the backgrounds out, give me a little bit more black over there. You know, that's, you know, it's all a paint box set. You know, and that's even when it's done on film. All right, when it's on digital, forget about it. You can do literally anything you want, but I guess where I'm coming from is in a world where you can do anything, nothing means anything.
That's a great,
you know.
So what do you ultimately feel about digital and film in the sense of, I know you still probably feel the same way, and I do as well, but do you think we're getting to a point where digital can ever achieve that look officially? Like, can you look at Sicario?
Well, here's my, okay, I mean, but here's my point of what you were talking about, even when, and I don't think I'm throwing Deakins under the bus.
No, no.
I think I you know, let him say I'm wrong about why he's coming from where he's coming from. I think it is that case. But the key to the way you pose the question is, oh, we can make digital look like film. We can do it. We can have a thing that looks like film. Well, film looks like film.
Right, exactly.
All right, you know, if it's if you were going to create something that could not be done on film, and I'm not talking about just the hard work of it being done on film, but if there was this other format, all right, that created a look that just film is incapable of doing, well, that would be something.
Yeah.
That would be something. That would be legit.
Somebody posed a really dumb question to me. Not dumb, but it was like a joke question. And it's been like bouncing around in my mind. And I don't actually have, I haven't spent enough time thinking about it. But it has to do, it's a silly question about sexual consent, but it's a deeper question about identity. Let's say that you find a way to get blackout drunk, but you retain all your memories. Or let's say there's some drug, it induces you, no, not retaining your memories. You get blackout drunk, but you're still like relatively coherent, relatively sober. Or we can just say any drug that wipes your memories, okay? Let's say that you're talking to somebody and you're talking, we'll say like consensual, non-consensual, so like rape play. Let's say you're talking to somebody in this state, you're on this drug, you're still like sober, you're very coherent or whatever, and they're like, hey, I'm gonna try like, well, we should try, you know, consent, non-consent. You're like, okay, I'm gonna consent to you like raping me tomorrow, consent, non-consent. I'm gonna consent to that, and it'll be cool, but when I'm done with this drug, like when I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm not gonna have any memory of consenting. Wait, so how are you blackout if you're still coherent? Blackout drunk, I think, usually just means you're not recording the memories. I think that's what that means. So the question is, it seems intuitively obvious that the next day, if somebody were to rape you, it seems intuitively obvious that it wouldn't be okay. Because like you gave consent, but you don't remember consenting to it. But then it made me think like, what is our identity? What does it mean to be who we are? If I lose a certain memory, am I creating a different identity? Or is my identity something different that necessarily like incorporates past memories? Because it would seem like the person that consented to sexual activity, if that memory is wiped from me, it's almost like irrelevant, or it's like a fundamentally different person. I don't know. I thought about that. I read an article a long time ago. It was posted on the philosophy subreddit, but the author of this article, he went on to make the argument that people with Alzheimer's disease, I don't think he said Alzheimer's. I think he said if prisoner loses memory, Immoral to keep them in jail. Was this the essay? Fuck, I'm not gonna be able to find it. But it was an interesting read. This was like 2 years ago, I think. But I remember thinking about it a little bit, but not much. But it's like, yeah, that'd be interesting. Imagine you go to jail and then you get into an accident, you lose all your memory, and now you're in jail and you don't even remember what you're there for. But like, you still committed the crime. But what does that sentence mean? You committed the crime. Who is you? Who are you? If you don't have the memory of doing it, like, you really still fundamentally the same person, right? Like, if you consent to something and then you lose memory of it and then somebody does it to you the next day and you're like, hold on, I didn't consent to that. When you say I didn't, you did, but what does I and you mean in that circumstance? Yeah, I don't know. That's just, I haven't spent a lot of mental time exploring that, but it bounces around up there sometimes. A gentleman on a date is confronted with an unusual request. Have I watched this?
And I say no, but you do it anyway.
Oh, I feel like I watched this a long time ago. I don't remember it. I don't know if I can watch these on stream or if it copyrights me. Is this the... I don't remember this one I read on it. Damn, it's been a while. Read my last message. Can you use that argument to justify raping someone in their sleep without consent if they don't remember it in the morning? Well, that is like that is an interesting argument. If you do something bad to somebody, but they have no memory of it, is it a bad thing, right? You can say yes for reasons relating to, like, you should consent to it while you're awake, but like technically we do horrible things to people while they're asleep. So for instance, like, you like can cut into people's bodies and stuff, assuming they're knocked out on an anesthetic, and that's considered okay because they're either, well, hopefully they're knocked out. The scary theory is they're not recording memories, meaning they're experiencing it but they don't remember it. I don't know where the science is at on that one. I'm not sure. I think it's that they're just not, I think they're not conscious at all. I don't think it's that they're not recording memories, but wasn't that one of the themes explored in 1984? If you conform to exactly what they want you to be, you technically have immortality? I don't remember. Apparently, I only read the last 3 pages of 1984, according to some unhinged fucking epic Redditor on my subreddit. Let's say somebody's raping me and as a self-defense measure, I pull out a dildo and stick it in their ass. I self-defense rape? Is it just consensual sex? I don't think so, my dude. Bro, that guy was a moron. Was he? I don't know. Did you read it? A long time ago. While I was driving to one of the MLGs, I listened to the audiobook. Name 10 characters? Bro, I don't know if I could name even one character. I feel like somebody's name in the book was Wilson. Was that the main character? Wilson. Oh, Winston. Were there even 10 characters in that book? Yeah. There was Winston, his girlfriend, the guy that he meets that he thinks is part of the Brotherhood, the shop owner. I felt like there's only like 6 or 7 people in that whole fucking book, right? Is my washer playing a song? Why did Winston cheat on his wife? Did Winston cheat on his wife in 1984? I don't remember. Is it worth a read? I thought it was interesting. I mean, it's fairly dry. It's not going to be like action-packed or anything.
Good evening, Happy New Year to Destiny. DGG and everyone in Mighty YT chat. Destiny feels good.
Your washer dryer is playing Schubert's, I'm sorry. The Trout. Wait, really? Was it? Maybe, I don't even know. Why is 1984 quoted so much? Like, people refer to it like the Bible so much. I don't know why 1984 got so popular. It was like 1984 and Animal Farm were like the two like totalitarian threading. It's probably nice because like it's one of those things where no matter who reads it, you can always claim the other side is doing. You can always claim the other side is doing whatever it is in 1984 you don't like. Close source to Tate. So does it Tate's arrest is in relation to money laundering, not rape. Tate will purportedly be held for an extended amount of time. Interesting. I died during a deviated septum operation and lost memories. By all accounts, the people around me had the same personality. My memories interesting. They found 10 million euro cash. Was 1984 sought to be banned for communist propaganda, adding to its sought afterness? What? Elon Musk getting margin called for Twitter loan. Ooh. Elon Musk faces margin call on loan used to purchase Twitter. If he gets margin called on his Tesla stock, do you think there's like a could he ever lose? Does he have him? What is his position at Tesla? Like, he doesn't own like 51% of the company, right? There's no way. But could that ever send like the stock into like a downward spiral? What's a margin call? Am I gonna be able to explain this? Let's say that I've borrowed $1 million in assets, or I'm sorry. Let's say that I borrow, we're gonna use simple numbers. Let's say I borrow $1,000 against $1 million in assets. Would it make sense to say this? No, I don't actually know how the borrowing works. I could tell you how like a margin account works, but I couldn't tell you how borrowing works. This is gonna be my guess, okay? I'm gonna make some of this up, and I might not be 100% correct, but the general principle will be the same, okay? Let's say that I can borrow, for every dollar I've got in an account, let's say I can borrow 50 cents. So let's say we got $1 million in an account, okay? And let's say against that $1 million, I can borrow $500,000. But for my margin account, let's say that we have to have 50% of the value of whatever this security is, right? So let's say that I've borrowed 500K and I'm borrowing against this $1 million. Well, if this $1 million drops too much, let's say that it drops to 700,000, or I'm sorry, we'll say it drops to like $700,000 in value. So over here, this would be like our Tesla stocks, right? Well, what happens is that would only be good enough to guarantee me a $350,000 loan. So I'm floating 150K that's not funded. I don't have I shouldn't say funded. It's not there's no collateral for this. I've just got 150,000 floating out here. And if what happens is if you're missing what your margin requirement is, so the percentage of a given financial asset you need to back up like a given loan amount, basically, being very broad, what they're going to do is they're going to margin call me, and they're either going to say, listen, we either need you to put more cash up well, no, I think that's what it'll typically be. We need you to put cash up in order to make this account right. You have $500,000 loaned out from us. You previously borrowed against $1 million stock. It's only worth $700K now. So we could only really loan you $350K. You've exceeded your margin, and now we need you to put the cash down to do this. Now, the scary thing with Elon Musk is that if he's having to meet a margin call, meaning that the security or the assets that he had backing up the loan have fallen in value too much, then I think the only way that he can meet that margin call is to liquidate shares of Tesla. So the scary thing with Elon is that imagine if he has to liquidate some shares. So he's selling some shares to meet his margin call, and that drives the price of the shares even lower because now people see him selling, they get scared, and then the price goes even lower, and now he's got to liquidate more. Like, what if he gets into this really weird spiral where he's liquidating shares, pay off his margin, and then there's another margin call because the shares are dropping, and that's what he's using to secure his debt. Yeah, I think that would be a scary thing. I don't know if that's a risk, if people are worried that that's happening. Why would he need to liquidate shares of Tesla? Why not just put up more shares without selling? Maybe he can do that. Maybe he can't. I'm not sure. But I imagine there's going to be scary things where you don't have, if you run out of shares to put up, then you're going to have to start selling off a whole bunch of shit. Matt Levine is a pretty good writer. I don't think I've ever read anything financially from him that seems dumb. This guy seems really smart. He says, yeah, I was going to say Elon's getting margin calls is the new Elon can pay $1 billion to walk away, both based loosely in fact, but not actually true. Okay, so maybe this guy doesn't think it's happening at all. A lot of people really think there's a margin loan. Tesla CEO Elon Musk just had his first margin call for Twitter loan. To be clear, there is not. He just did not take out a Tesla margin loaned by Twitter. Thought about it, but did not do it. That said, he had previously pledged shares to secure personal indebtedness. Who knows what's up with that? Okay, so Matt says it's not happening at all, so okay. I would believe this guy generally. Does he really not have any assets anywhere else other than Tesla? I thought, isn't he 95% of his net worth is tied up in Tesla, I thought? Percentage of Elon's net worth in Tesla. Let's just look it up, I guess. Fuck, I don't know. I'm too lazy to look it up now. Wait. If Tesla shareholders are aware that Elon Musk was too distracted by his new they now more reason to be upset. Musk disclosed on Wednesday that he had sold under $3.6 billion worth of Tesla stock. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I watched... Where was the... Apparently this was that video that Elon was referencing. We might have watched this once in the past on stream before.
Just one feature. Why is this taking 3 years to roll out? Look, it's not that simple, all right? I have priorities, my team has deadlines, we have other deliverables in progress.
I'm still not understanding this. Why is it so hard to display the birthday date on the settings page? Why can't we get this done this quarter?
Look, I'm sorry, we've been over this. It's the design of our back end. First we have to call the bingo service. See, bingo knows everyone's name-o, so we get the user's ID out of there. Then from bingo, we can call Papaya and MBS to get that user ID and turn it into a user session token. We can validate those with Omnop, And then, once we have that, we can finally pull the user's info down from Raccoon.
Yeah, but couldn't the Raccoon team basically just...
No, Raccoon isn't guaranteed to have that info. Before we do this, we have to go to Wingman, do a query to see if the user's willing to take it to the next level, or if they're just playing the field. Now, Wingman is cool, but he doesn't store any user info himself. He has to reach out to other user info provider services, like RGS, Barbie Doll, Ringo2, BLS. But how does it know what all the user provider services are? Well, for that, it has to go to Galactus, all-knowing user service provider aggregator. And while Galactus has omniscient knowledge of all current user info providers, it doesn't have future sight or knowledge of past user info providers, so it expects a time range. To get all the current user info providers, we need to pass a time range with the current time and a time representing the end of the universe, which we get from EKS, our entropy chaos service. EKS is being deprecated at the end of the month for Omegastar, but Omegastar still doesn't support ISO timestamps like they said they would a month ago, so until Omegastar gets their fucking shit together, we're blocked. We can't get signed up for our use case, we can't use EKS, there's nothing we can do. So Galactus won't be able to find our new birthday boy provider, which means Wingman won't know how to talk to anybody, which means I won't be able to find true love and I'll die alone. I'll die alone, without ever knowing love, without ever knowing it's my birthday. We're blocked, okay? We're blocked, you sad, pathetic little product manager. You think you know what our users want? You know nothing of my pain, of Galactus's pain. You think you know what it takes to tell the user it's their birthday? You know nothing. Delivering this feature goes against everything I know to be right and true, and I will sooner lay you into this barren earth than entertain your folly for a moment longer.
All right, so clearly this is Blocker. No problem, we'll push this out another 2 to 3 years or so. Learned a lot today, love Galactus. But we'll talk next week about adding middle names to the profile. Awesome, sounds good. Take care.
Based. Five minutes.
2001. Two, the most sophisticated.
I'm good. How can I just remind on the statement of yours that the average German couldn't know about the death camps? In your sub, someone told me I should make a well thought out post, but I'm too lazy for that. You're gonna try and convince me now. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if the average German knew about concentration camps, but I don't think the average German knew about death camps. That would be my guess. But if you told them there were death camps, they'd probably be like, yeah, maybe. Like, I'm not gonna not believe it. But it's not like they would have knowledge of it, you know? Hi, first time Shadow. Can you please review the video for my deceased friend? YouTube search "You Cannot Die" by YouTube user Kill Sing Asuka. He sadly took his life 2 years back and made a lot of good philosophical videos, especially in regards to personal identity and generic subjective continuity after death. I'll think about it, okay? The average person knew about war period concentration camps. That's a fact. They were extremely common. Yeah, but a concentration camp is not a death camp. Those are two different things, right? Name 10 concentration camps. Your mom, your mom, your mom. Got him. Did Destiny review anything yet? No. When there are macroeconomic risks, it is generally wise to avoid using margin loans on any company, as stocks may move in ways that are decoupled from their long-term potential. Okay. Could you explain what you mean? Every death camp was also a concentration camp? A concentration camp just means you're moving people to an area and like maybe working them. And I think it's generally like against those people's wills. Like technically in the United States, I think we called them internment camps for Asian Americans. They might have qualified as concentration, but a concentration camp doesn't necessarily mean it's a death camp where people are being exterminated. Damn. Dark Delta. I have no idea. In the process of purchasing a vehicle out of state that is not tax reciprocal to my home state, the sales rep said this means I pay tax for both state. Double tax, is that a real thing? I was always under the impression you just pay the difference when you register the vehicle. Don't take my advice, but if you buy the vehicle, here's what I would imagine. If you buy the vehicle out of state, you would pay sales tax in that state, but when you bring the vehicle back to your home state, you would register it there, and then you'd pay registration in the state that you register it in. But I don't think you'd pay sales tax again in the state that you bring it to, right? I know we have the. Why are you guys telling me to right click on names? Stop. He literally told me I pay in both states. I don't know. Don't trust a salesman. Why the fuck would you trust them knowing anything? Okay. Oh my god. I think I've seen this before, but he's trying. There's like a wasp nest or something. Do you believe the theory that Hitler himself didn't know about the extermination camps? They were mostly run by rogue officers? No, I don't believe that. So you're saying average Germans knew about concentration camps, maybe, but not death camps?
Why are you pretending you know anything about registration fees when you haven't renewed a registration in 17 years?
It's been 4 years, babe. You're saying average Germans definitely knew about concentration camps. Like Jewish people were literally being rounded up and shipped. I just don't think they knew about death camps. I don't think they knew about death camps. Are you going to have to do a deep dive on this? No, not really. I don't really care to. If somebody posts something that says I'm wrong, then I'll say I'm wrong, I guess. Oh, it is time. Ooh, Hatchie. You're up.
Hold on.
We're all waiting with bated breath. Your microphone is like 7,000% too quiet.
Too quiet? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to ask you like a stupid question. So, I live in New York City, and I deliver pizza at nighttime. I just started it, and
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. Some people are recommending that I carry some sort of self-defense with me, just because I do deliver pizza at until 11 o'clock at night.
Is it what borough? Like all of them, or?
Just Staten Island.
Okay. Is that like a dangerous one comparatively speaking? I don't know. Compared to like the Bronx or something? I have no idea. Is it?
Not really. It's probably more better than like Brooklyn and Manhattan. So I was thinking of getting pepper spray just to keep in my bag with me, but apparently it's illegal in New York City, which I didn't know.
Jesus.
Do you think I should just say fuck it and carry it with me? Or don't worry about it? I mean, I've never had any weird interactions with anybody yet, or
Are
so,
you
I don't know.
are you the only girl like pizza driver in your like thing, or are there other ones? Do you, this is what I would say. If I was you, I would ask the other pizza drivers if they've ever been in weird altercations before, and if they haven't, then don't worry about it. But if people say that it's dangerous, then maybe you should look into something like that. But that's who I would go. I'm not gonna know like how dangerous it is or isn't doing like delivery drivers or doing driving deliveries. But but your coworkers will, like, they'll be able to tell you like, oh yeah, like I've gotten into situations with people in the past, so you should do this or that. But like, yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah. But also, like, pepper spray in your purse. What are the penalties for getting caught with this? I don't want to recommend you do something illegal, but if it's like a dumb penalty, then like fuck it, it might be worth it just to like risk it, you know?
See, I don't. Can you hear me? I don't think my mic. Okay, so I don't know what the penalty is, but the pizza place that I work at, the chief of police comes and eats there and is like really good buddies with the owner, so I'm thinking I won't get in too much trouble, but I don't know.
You can also literally just ask him. Like, cops are generally like pretty cool. They'll tell you like what's up. Like, you could say like, hey, like if I feel unsafe, like, do you think if I carry pepper spray, am I gonna get fucked or whatever? Like, he'll probably give you an answer. I would imagine.
Yeah, true. Okay, that's all I wanted to ask, really. Appreciate your input.
All right, good luck. Make sure you don't get what?
Bring back the plushie, please.
I'll think about it. Okay.
Okay. All right, bye.
Don't get fucked, otherwise I'll be making fun of you on Twitter. So be careful.
Oh no. Okay, bye.
Moo.
Darby.
What up?
No much, man.
How you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. What about you? What are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Wait, is my stream really laggy? I'm getting really confused right now. No, it's not. Okay, talk to me. What's up?
All right, I've got a few questions.
Okay.
First one is
wait, where the fuck are you from?
Your content. I'm from Australia, dude.
Oh, it's some weird time over there. No, literally nobody knows your time zone. Okay, go ahead.
It is 4:30 p.m.
Gotcha.
All right. So your content, I am sick of all of this.
Red pill stuff and dating stuff. You hate
No.
it?
No. I don't care about that shit. Okay. What's shit is all these cunts coming in and talking about like be nice and shit. We need to skip all that. Let's get back to the good content. Shitting on dumb fuck white names about gym talk. That's what we need. We need more gym talk. We need you to shit on white names. That is your top tier content.
Okay. Well, thank you. I'll submit that into my list of considerations. Okay.
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 I had another thing, and
go for it.
I wasn't sure what to think about it.
Okay. Well,
So
I can tell you what to think about everything.
You,
so,
because you can tell me what to think. Yeah, exactly. All right. So this is a thing from like ages and ages ago, like years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Reza Aslan, or however the fuck you pronounce it?
Yeah, Reza Aslan. He was like the go-to, like, I'm Muslim, but I shit on other Muslims or something. He was probably cool. I'm being mean, but yeah. What about him?
Yeah. Do you know that he like ate a dude's brain?
I did not know that.
Yeah, he like did like a documentary thing and like went on to like this like tribe of cannibals and like ate part of a dude's brain. And I wanted like after he ate the dude's brain, like obviously like the group were like really aggressive and everything, and he ended up wanting to get out of there. And so people always say that like
most brain-eating people are probably fairly aggressive, I would imagine. But
yeah, exactly. But like, so people were saying like as defense of him, like, oh, he was being threatened. Of course he had to, but he ate it before he was being threatened. Do you think like there's something? Like, is it like, how bad is that? Like, is it something you'd look at someone weird about for the rest of their life?
I mean, I think
for
it's pretty
eating
weird.
another human being's brain.
Yeah, but I also
Like,
think
that
it's
seems
weird.
super weird.
I also think it's weird when people eat like octopus and shit. So I mean, I don't know if I'm the best person to ask for
I
that.
feel like it's a little different.
I mean, like, it depends on the culture and shit. If someone wants to cook up some fucking brain, then go for it. I don't know. Fuck it.
Alright. Also, is Miz on juice?
Man, I don't know, dude. Those before and after pictures were pretty wild. Honest to God, somebody made the most compelling argument that I had ever seen, and I do think he's juicing. And it's because somebody made this big post basically shitting on like streamers and YouTubers, and they were like, he's 100% on juice because streamers and YouTubers don't have the fucking discipline to do anything in their life without cheating. And I was like, you know what? Fucking true. He probably is juicing. Yeah. That's that, but I don't know. Yeah. I think that with TRT today and shit, like it feels like, isn't like TRT basically just like free roiding, and you can get it like anywhere you go, right?
Yeah, that's probably like people always talk about like how like bad and everything like Joe Rogan is for all the COVID shit. I unironically think that the worst thing he's done is make TRT like commonplace.
But do you think
Like,
it was
no
really
one
Joe
talked about
Rogan
it
that did it?
No one cared about it until he started talking about how good it is and how he does it, and it's not that big of a deal and all of that shit. And that's when like all the like right wing people started talking about it.
Wait. When did he start talking about TRT?
Years before I started watching you, so like
okay.
2019.
Because I feel like in
something like
2014, 2015, I started to see like these men's clinics like pop up fucking everywhere. So, but maybe I don't know if that was Joe Rogan inspired or not, but yeah, like the reference range for healthy T levels is so fucking huge that like a guy can be perfectly healthy with like, you know, like 450 nano pico or whatever the fuck, and he can like I think like I've seen some reference ranges up to like 1050 still being within like the normal reference range, so you can like get boosted an ungodly amount and be like, oh yeah, I'm just doing this as, you know, TRT because I got low T or whatever, and it's like, okay bro, you're on some massive coke right now, you're fucking roiding, dog. But yeah, I don't know, it is what it is. What are you gonna do?
All right, last thing before I go, I'm gonna shout out Jada. I'm gonna post a link in chat. Everyone check out fucking the best thing Jada's ever done.
What is that? What is the best thing he's ever done? Okay. Jesus. Lift the weight of all of Jader Fernandez Lifetime of Failures Challenge. There was a study recently that showed how they massively overestimated the amount of T levels needed because they didn't really group people by age. Older men had lower T on average, and the study design was poor, and they were going, even for lower on average, the reference range for a lot of your hormones is really, really, really wide. In my personal opinion, I think you should look up the effects of being low on certain hormones. Reading a number is just not enough, because like somebody could go in and have like, you know, they could measure like 600 T or 550 or whatever, and that could still be low for them. There might be something impacting it. So if you've got like a bunch of mood problems, you're super irritable, you have like no sex drive, like 600 might be low for you. It just, yeah, I think the reference ranges on hormones are so huge. You can't just like look at a number and just like know, like, oh yeah, this is good, this isn't. Do you get your T levels tested regularly? Fuck no. I've tested it twice in my life. I'm low as fuck. I'm hopeless, okay? Find an uphill battle over here. But I have like a really high sex drive. I'm not irritable, except for when you guys are being douchebags. And I'm not like, so like I would never get, like if I ever did TRT or anything, I would literally just be roiding for the gym. Like that would be the only reason why. But I think that TRT is like so accessible now that like it almost feels, I wouldn't, but it almost feels like, why wouldn't you? Like if you can go and get like a pellet or an injection or some shit that lasts you for 6 months, and you can boost your T by like 400, you know, it almost feels like people, yeah, I think it feels like almost everybody today is like doing that shit. That's the feeling I get, but Is there any reason not to? I don't like the idea of fucking with hormones because I think this is like bro medical science. I don't know if this is true at all. This is a feeling I've had from reading tweets. I don't know. This is just a feeling. This is all intuition, baby. So I could be totally wrong. I feel like when you replace hormones, your body gets less used to making them on its own. So I'd be really worried about replacing testosterone because I'd feel like I would start producing less naturally. And then if you ever go off in the future, now you're fucked. You'd be like hooked for life. That would be like that'd be my big worry about like replacing testosterone, especially if I'm already like healthy. Like I don't have effects of low T or anything. So like I'm not, like maybe I carry like some fat over my midsection or whatever. But like other than that, like I'm not like symptomatic of low T at all. So why would I fuck up my testes or why would I fuck up like my natural hormone production just to like, you know, make some gains at the gym, you know? Does TRT only go as high as your natural max T level? I take everything I say with many grains of salt, but I'm pretty sure that if you go up to a doctor and you ask for like big gains, I'm pretty sure they'll boost you high. I think they'll put you wherever the fuck you want to go, like within reasonable levels. Like I don't know if they'll put you to like 2,000 or some shit, but I think if you go to like a male clinic doctor and you're like, I want to be at like 950 or 1050, like get me up there, doc. I'm pretty sure they'll fucking do it because they don't give a fuck. Max is 1,500. Holy shit. I'll never have the discipline to do the gym, so there's no point in TRT for me. I think technically, if you have no desire to actually go and gym, okay, also take it careful, not encouraging you to roid. This is only for educational purposes only. But I think technically, some of the people who benefit the most from higher testosterone levels are people that wouldn't work out, because I think having higher T levels just naturally boosts the leanness of your body. Like you'll carry more muscle naturally just having higher testosterone. So if you never go to the gym and you boost your T levels a lot, like you can gain muscle. Like I'm pretty sure people that do like heavy cycles of roids will gain more muscle doing nothing than people that don't roid and go full fucking throttle at the gym. Like boosting your T levels a lot will make you gain like big muscle. But like, be careful, okay? I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying for educational purposes only. Is it just a myth that roids can make you fat if you don't gym then? Roids will never make you fat. Testosterone is like a cheating hormone when it comes to putting on muscle. There are other like side effects. You can look all this up too. There's like other side effects as well. So some people will talk about, I think if you do like really heavy cycles, you can get like, I think it's called like people call it like a steroid gut, where you could look weird down here. You can get like I don't know what the reason for that is. I've heard you can get really bad acne on like your arms and your shoulders and your back, that'll look like really nasty. There are certain spots of your body that are more receptive to testosterone. They're more sensitive to androgen, another word for testosterone, than other areas. So like your traps will get like really big. I think sometimes it's not medial delt. Your top delt, I think, will get really big, or is it all three of them? But they're like, these muscles up here are really sensitive to androgen. So like you'll get like really big traps, really big shoulders, like disproportionately so. Acne, mood swings, your testes can shrink if you go too big. Probably heart problems, I think, if you really. I mean, you can go look up all the. I was under the impression that the roid gut thing is a myth, and that's actually a gut issue unrelated to test HGH. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Have you dealt with acne on your arms and back? Nope. That's the only reason I don't want to have sex. Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Hello.
Oh, hi. How's life?
I'm not going to talk about the Twitter thing.
You can talk about whatever you want. What's up?
Oh my god, your thing about the person blacking out about the rape thing got me really thinking about Theseus's ship now.
Oh, yeah, oof.
What is your conclusion on Theseus's ship?
I think identity is really, really, really hard. I'm not gonna have any I'm not gonna be breaking new ground here.
Well, it'll be fun to walk through. So where do you fall on that one?
I don't even have I don't have any answer for you. I just don't. I'm sorry. I don't know. I truly don't know.
Aristotle said what it is of a thing is its formal cause. So like the design.
Is this like a teleological argument, like the telos of a particular thing dictates what it is, like what it's like designed in nature is for, kind of, or?
Kind of. I don't really know.
Okay,
I
sorry. I forgot I said that.
No, this like super in depth.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about this because like. By the way, I'm like on 5 different prescription medications for the cough. That
you're still sick, bro. Is it? Are you okay? Is it the end of the line for you?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Okay, go ahead.
So I was always on the boat that like, of course it's the same ship, right? But now I'm thinking like, what if Theseus had a kid, right? And he sent, instead of like the ship breaking down, he sent one piece of his boat back to his kid, so his kid could just like build his own boat. And then when he gets back, there's 2 identical boats. Which one's his ship?
Yeah, I have no idea. It's a good question. What do you think? Dazzle us with your PhD level education.
Okay, I'm in my first year. Calm down.
The ship of Theseus is basically asking a question of, as you replace the pieces of a boat one by one, when does the ship become a new ship? So if I replace the mast, is it a new ship? Probably not. What if I replace all the boards on the deck? What if I replace all the, like, how many parts of the ship do you have to replace before you say, oh, this is a totally new ship? And then I've heard people modern day will kind of ask questions related to like humans or technology. Like, let's say you give a human a new leg. Let's say you give a human a new whatever. Like, how many parts can you replace before it's still like the same human? And then, but yeah, that's a little bit more boring because usually it'll have something to do with the brain. But yeah.
I used to think that because humans, like all their cells, like I just looked this up. But I thought every 7 years, like all your cells were different, but that's not true. That's not actually true.
Well, I think it's every 7 to 10 years. I think all of them, most of them will have replacements, but yeah, different cells regenerate on different timelines. Like some regenerate like daily, I think, and then some are like
women's eggs, like those cells never replace. They never like.
Nope, I think you have all of them as soon as you're born, and then you lose them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there are other cells in your body that are kind of like that. I could be wrong.
I want to say, is it liver cells or pancreatic cells that don't regenerate? Am I making that up? I think one of those organs
Pancreas or gallbladder, one of those two. I know they don't regenerate.
Okay. Brain cells do regenerate, I'm pretty sure. People think that, like, I remember learning that a lot as a kid, that like, oh, when you lose brain cells, they never come back, but I don't think that's true. I think your brain can heal and repair itself, generally. Liver is a god regenerator. Okay.
I think the liver is like the one that regenerates, but that's besides the point. So like, do you change? Well, obviously some cells are still the same. But like most of your body does change over time. Are you the same?
I think that for a lot of these, I think we actually end up talking past the point, which is what I was trying to get at, was I don't think the question isn't actually do you change? The question is define you. And that's where the meat of the conversation is. What are you? And then
the issue is that like you can't disagree on what you is though, right?
Well, otherwise, of course you can, right? Did you hear the example that I gave earlier about like the providing consent knowing that you're going to lose your memory?
I heard that. I wasn't sure what the point was of that.
Yeah, so like let's say that I get your consent to sell your house, right? You agree to sell your house, you sign the contract, but we do this while you're under the influence of a drug. You know you are. You're like, okay, I know I'm under the influence of a drug. I'm not going to remember this when I, get not high, but I'm going to consent to all of this. I'm super sober. I'm just going to lose my memory. If you were to consent to all of it, and then afterwards, the next day you wake up, and then, I show up and I'm like, hey, Sejin, I'm here to get your house. And you're like, wait a second, hold on, I don't remember consenting to this. And I'm like, oh no, you did while you were, on drugs. Here's a video recording of you doing it. Intuitively to me, it still feels wrong. Like, well, hold on, I don't remember it. Even if you're showing me a video of it, that feels wrong, which I feel like challenges like the idea of like, what is your identity? That's what it feels like to me. All of this is like very intuitively felt. Tate was released, no charges. Damn. Okay, so go. What do you think about that?
I'm trying to. Oh man, I don't think you can make an argument that you're a different person once you're under that influence, right? That continuity.
Well, I don't know. Are you? That's the question. But when you say you can't make that argument that you're a different person under the influence, can you? Again, what are you as a person? I think that it's a trick. It's a game to say, like, are you different? We're still asking the fundamental question of what are you? And then once we figured that out, then we can ask the question of like, well, are you different?
Oh man.
Like, are you just a collection of all your memories? So therefore, if your memories are altered, do you change? Oh, a really good exploration of this. Fuck, I love this movie so much, and the original is so fucking dog shit. Did you ever see the Blade Runner movie? Blade Runner 2049. Yeah. You say yeah? The new one.
Yeah. I didn't see the new one. I think I saw the original.
That had an interesting premise, basically, of was the fuck? It's been a while since I've seen this, so hopefully I don't fuck all that plot points up. But like, if the memories were real or false, did that make not Deckard? Did that make Ryan Gosling's character like a real person? Right? Like, notice how so much of his identity was essentially hinging on those memories. Like, if the memories had been true or if the memories had been false, like would that change, like the identity of who he was? I think that's a really difficult question to answer. I think a lot of philosophers that talk about this, and I think neuroscientists too, agree that memory forms at least some part of your identity. Tate has not been released. Gotcha, that was fake.
Soon as you say you, the utility
memory
of your
forms
actual life.
some part of your identity.
Like, memories seem to be some part of your identity, right?
Could you argue that your memory informs behaviors and those behaviors are what you are?
I don't think so. I don't know. It feels like the memories themselves are like, not just because they form different behaviors, but it feels like the memories themselves are probably a part of who you are, I think.
How would that work for people with like short-term memory loss?
I mean, they have very, very, very challenging lives, right? Because they have a lot of problems related directly to their identity, no? Do you ever see that?
Wait. That would mean that like, if you have short-term memory, and like you kill a person and then you don't remember it, and you don't remember anything leading up to it, did you kill that person?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's kind of the question, right? What is you? Or like maybe a softer version of that question is, let's say you lock somebody up in jail, but there's like a mind wipe machine. So somebody goes to jail, but you wipe all memory of like the crime they committed from their mind. Like, is it still ethical to hold them in jail, even though they have no memory of like the crime they committed whatsoever?
There's kind of like a Black Mirror episode like that, where they take criminals and they put them through like, they wipe their memory, and then they put them in like an acting simulation where it's basically a reenacted horror movie, but they're not in on it. They don't know. And that's their punishment.
Jesus.
And they have to live that reality over and over again.
It's kind of dark. Guess that's why it's called Black Mirror, huh? Bro, how long have you been sick? Wait, have you been sick like 3 weeks?
Since the 6th, 24 days.
Jesus.
And it is not getting better.
You dead. Sorry. No, I'm just kidding. You shouldn't be dead. Maybe.
Apparently it's happening to a lot of people. Everyone's having these like really extended coughs that aren't really doing so great.
I think I told you, I remember reading something that, because I was getting frustrated because every single time I traveled, I started to get sick, and that's never happened to me. I'm like a never sick person, but over the past year, I've gotten sick almost every single time I've flown. I remember reading somewhere that there was an idea that a bunch of diseases that are normally kind of like always traveling and getting people sick, and you just kind of get exposed to a ton of stuff, that because everybody's been kind of like quarantined, that all of those have been kind of like burrowed inside little communities, and as soon as we started traveling again, they all just kind of like came out again, so people's immune systems are kind of catching up. That might be the case. I don't know if that's true.
Oh, that makes sense, right? Oh.
Because like if I go to an airport, I might be exposed to like 50 different fucking viruses, whereas like you know, during quarantine, maybe that, because you saw like influenza rates and everything dropped to almost like fucking 0%, right? So you're not getting exposed to all of those viruses normally, so yeah.
Oh.
But I don't know if that's like a true theory or not. I just remember reading that. And then I've had like anecdotally a lot of people getting sick.
Yeah. I think the nurse I saw was alluding to something like that because of COVID. Everyone like there something weird is going on with the how long people are being sick and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I also imagine too, there's probably people that are getting like a lot more sensitive to being sick, and there's probably a lot of people that are yeah, just being like a lot more aware in general. Like somebody might have had a cough for like a couple weeks, maybe wouldn't have said anything in the past, but now they're like, oh God, is this long COVID, or I'm gonna go to the hospital and report it. So stuff is probably getting reported more than ever. That'd be my guess.
People also have home kits though, so I don't know if they're going to be reporting it, right? Because if you have COVID and you home test, like, oh, okay, I have COVID, I don't need to go see a doctor, I'll just wait it out.
Maybe.
But yeah, I don't know. Is this an immigrant thing that like you just don't go to a doctor when you're sick? Because like all my like people, all my friends and stuff, like they're like, dude, like go to a doctor. You've been sick for like 3 days. I'm like, I don't go to the doctor unless it's been like over a week.
It probably just depends on, that's, I don't know, that might be family to family. My family was like, well, my grandma was a hypochondriac, I think, so maybe it doesn't count, because she would take me to the ER for fucking everything. Anytime I had like any fever, anytime I had any cough, she's like, we gotta go to the ER, Stevie, we gotta go to the ER. And it's like, okay. But she also died with like fucking 400 bottles of Vicodin and shit in her fucking medicine cabinet, so who knows.
Well, that's...
My mom was the same too, though, but we had like military, like TRICARE, like health insurance, so maybe they just didn't give a fuck because it was free. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it could be insurance tied. Well, no, that doesn't make sense for my family. We've always had insurance. Back to identity. Anyway.
Wait, well, before we go back on identity, one quick question.
Yeah.
This is probably the most annoying thing I've ever seen, unless I'm missing something. It seems like there are still people that are choosing to wear masks. Like, it's not like company, or I don't know, maybe it's company policy, but I don't think so, because I see some people at places wear masks, some don't. So you've got people that are choosing to wear masks, which is fine, but they choose to wear masks, and then they don't wear them correctly. Why? Why do people do this? Like the lady downstairs, they wear masks, but then they have them pulled down so they're still breathing in and out through their nose. And it's like, why? What the fuck are you doing?
Bro.
I don't know. That's just fucking weird.
I've seen the people. I don't know when the last time I saw someone that was wearing a mask, like by choice, and was wearing it incorrectly though.
Okay.
I think most people that are wearing them right now, I don't think I've ever seen someone wearing it incorrectly.
Okay, so you're just calling me a fucking liar, basically.
I don't know. Maybe it's a regional thing. Maybe Florida, you guys got all that.
Oh, okay.
All the brain rot, and so they just forgot how to wear masks.
Gotcha.
Identity. So I think it's useful to identify people in different contexts differently, right? The essence of you can change depending on the context. I think for legal purposes, I think it's okay to say if you have short-term memory, the action you should still be held to accountable for the actions that you committed while you had temporary memory loss.
Okay.
Or do you disagree with that?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think it's really hard. You ever see the movie Minority Report?
Yeah.
Do you think it was okay to have pre-crime?
No.
Why not?
Because I think we can accept that the way we have to function is within like the 4 dimensions that we like. You're not you how can you be guilty of something that you did not do?
Well, that's a really good question. So the FBI caught a few refugees, 2 of them. I think they're the only refugees to ever be charged with a crime, where they basically got them set up to facilitate transferring weapons to extremists, and I think it was for ISIS. I think they were Afghanistan refugees in the United States. However, they didn't actually commit any crimes. The FBI was basically just setting them up to do so. Now, should those people be punished because they didn't actually do anything?
That conspiracy to commit a crime?
Sure, but they weren't actually committing a crime, right?
Sorry, what?
They weren't actually committing a crime, but they were kind of planning on it, right? Or what about a John that goes to buy sex from a police officer that's undercover? They didn't actually do it. They didn't have the sex, but they paid for it.
Yeah, but in the United States, we recognize that the planning of a crime is also a crime of itself.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, so maybe it'd be fundamentally different. You don't get charged with doing the crime. You just get charged with the planning of a crime.
Yeah. Like solicitation of a sex worker is, I think, different than engaging with it.
Maybe. I have no idea, actually. Is there a different charge for fucking a sex worker?
I imagine there must be. I'm just going to Google it.
I have no idea. Fuck, Tom Cruise is so cool. Holy shit.
You will face deeper penalties for the actual act rather than just accepting an offer. So they are different.
Nice.
So how's that? Are you okay with pre-crime?
I mean, like, to some extent, I think to some extent I can get you to logically buy in at, like, immediately before. So, like, here's the way that I would build this out, okay? If you go to shoot somebody in the head, like, would you say you're guilty of something? Is it meaningfully different 1 second before and after you pulled the trigger?
Yes.
What if you go
from a legal standpoint, right?
Well, we're just thinking, like, ethically. Let's say that. Okay.
I think so too.
Sure. Okay. I think I could agree because you're committing an action. It transfers from thought to action, right?
Yeah.
Is it different? Is it meaningfully different if the gun is loaded with a blank or not, and you don't know it? Like, let's say you go to kill somebody, but then the gun has a blank in it, and you could have never killed them. Do you think that should that still be counted as like an attempted murder, kind of, or?
Yeah, I think you can still count both of those as attempted murder, but you would have to prove it. But I don't think that's material to the discussion.
Sure. Let's say that you know that somebody's going to pull the trigger. Like, we could figure that out 100%. We know they're going to pull the trigger. Is there still a meaningful difference before and after they pull the trigger if you know 100% they're going to do it? I guess because that was what the pre-crime idea was built on, that you knew they were going to do it. I guess knowing the future makes things a lot more complicated.
I think it still matters.
Okay.
Because that's suggesting we have perfect information, right?
I guess that was kind of the point of the Minority Report. Well, the point and not the point, because they didn't have perfect information because of the Minority Report, right?
I think the point is you can't have perfect information, right?
Kind of. I mean, they still wanted some free choice in the movie, I think, right?
Yeah. So, if that's where we are there, I actually have a question for you. Are you pure prison is rehabilitative?
I mean, it should be. I don't think it is.
Yeah. You think it should be, right?
Yeah, I don't think there should be any level of like retribution or punitive justice or anything like that. Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, now I'm gonna get the most
I don't know
Asian
about
take.
that one,
Yeah.
Chief.
Okay. If you wanted to have like punishments against somebody where they're serving back society, the only types of punishments I think I would be on board with would be things that like directly benefit society. So like I can get behind things like community service. Like that's okay. Or if you've got somebody that literally like murdered like 3 people and it's like, I don't know if this guy's going to do it again. You need to keep him locked away. I think that's okay. But
Oh, so like protective.
yeah. But assuming we had the ability to perfectly rehabilitate, I think that's what the chief and maybe only purpose of prison should be. I don't know if I believe in terms of like punishment as much. I just don't know how well that serves society.
So if someone like assaults your child and then you kill that person and then you go to jail and there's a court case and you're like, while in jail, you're like the whole time, you're like, oh my God, I just took someone's life. I never want to ever do something like that again. Meaning that you're pretty much rehabilitated. Do you think you should no longer go to prison?
I mean, if you could truly know, but we're kind of playing an information game, right? The problem is we don't really know, right?
If you let's pretend like hypothetically that you did know that someone was.
If you
like,
did know,
someone.
then yeah, I think that in the most extreme, it's going to come off as really extreme, but yeah, I think they should just walk. If you know they're not going to commit the crime again, then yeah, then fuck it. But this is like, we have to bake in a few assumptions here. Like, people aren't committing crimes knowing that if they just like don't do it again, they have like a one-time free card or any weird shit like that, right?
Well, the perfect information would tell them that it's like, now I want. Oh, maybe actually. Yeah, that would be kind of weird, wouldn't it be?
If what?
If people only did a crime knowing that they could get off with it one time because it's rehabilitative.
Yeah, that would be not good.
Wouldn't that be an argument for punitive imprisonment?
Maybe. But I mean, again, it's going to depend on. We have to establish like what we're talking about. Are we talking about like a world with perfect information where we can see the future, where we know if somebody's rehabilitated? Like all of these are going to change based on like real life. Like I don't know if that dream world where we only do things, where we only put people in prison until they're rehabilitated. I don't know if that world could ever exist, because how could you determine perfectly if somebody's rehabilitated, right? That's hard to know. So like
I agree, but philosophically, I think punitive justice is still okay.
Yeah, sure. So that's the more interesting thing to talk about. Yeah. Why, I guess? Why do you think that?
I think it breaks the social contract, and if you break a social contract, you have to be punished for it. There cannot be actions without consequence.
What does the punishment do for us?
The punishment is, well, if we're thinking about a contract, one is deterrent. Even if that's
let's
not
assume
always
there's no deterrent effect. Because if there's deterrent, then I'm obviously going to agree, right? Well, sure, if it actually deters crime, then we probably should do it. But then it has less to do with like punishing the actual crime itself. It has to do with like deterring future crime, which I would hope would be the goal of almost all societies, to deter future crime, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, but because I'm guessing what you'll say is, if I ask you, let's say there's no deterrent effect whatsoever, you'd probably say, well, there still should be a punishment for it, right? So let's focus on
yeah, because you're breaking the agreement, and part of that agreement is you get punished.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all have to. I'm trying to imagine a world where can you lay out a scenario for me where punishments have no purpose, I guess?
Well, I guess the question is what ought a punishment be? What is the purpose of a punishment, right? I guess when I think in terms of child rearing, they're like, when I lived with him, if I was trying to punish Nathan, I would usually want the punishment to like get a point across. Like, it would never just be like random busy work. It would be like, you need to do this because it's some kind of like atonement. So like if you were disrespectful and didn't do a chore, like you should do like more chores or something, or like help mom with this so that you can see what it's like to have to deal with this. Or like if you made a big mess in the kitchen, like your punishment might be like, you need to clean the kitchen floor, like every Friday for this month. Like you'd have to do 4 times so that you understand the work that goes into it. Like the punishment isn't just like you did this and now you're punished. It hopefully goes to illustrate why the primary action was wrong, and then help you appreciate the totality of the situation more. Yeah, but I would never see it as like a retributive kind of thing.
I think punishment can exist outside the purpose of teaching someone something.
Okay. I don't know if I see it that way, but that might be like a very, very, very fundamental disagreement we have.
It is really hard to get out of a world where punishments are purely for the sake of punishment. I'm trying to like rewrite my brain right now to make punishments.
Well, I think right now, I think that the intuitive feeling is we do view punishments that way. Like you should be punished for doing something bad, even if there is no retribution, right? Like if we test crimes, like if we test like really bad crimes, like think like rape or like child murder or something, right? The idea that like if a person could go in and they have like raped a woman, but you find that they're instantaneously rehabilitated, like, can that person walk free? I think intuitively most people are like, no, of course not. Like, they have to be punished. That's like the intuitive feeling that we have around punishment, I think. But I don't know if I trust my intuitions around punishment. This might be a thing where society is constructed in such a way to necessarily go against our intuitions. Because I think our intuitions also heavily lead us towards like vigilantism. I think intuitively feels very, very, very good. Almost necessary. Like people champion like the dad that shot the guy that I think either killed or raped his daughter outside a Texas courthouse. And
then that guy mocked them during the sentencing or whatever. And then that guy shot him.
Yeah. And I don't think he was convicted. I think he only got manslaughter or something. Because I don't think the court wanted to convict him or the jury wouldn't, or something like that, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so it seems like intuitively vigilantism feels good. I mean, look at how many superheroes are all vigilantes, technically, right? And we like worship them as a society. So vigilantism intuitively feels really good, but I think it's probably not a good thing, even if it feels that way. So I try to be careful where my intuitions lie when it comes to punishment or retribution.
I think my instinct there is to say that you're overcorrecting there then.
Maybe. But I guess, like, let's say theoretically a guy double murders, okay? Kills 2 people, goes to rob a gas station, goes bad, and he kills 2 people. And for some reason, somehow, as soon as he goes into jail, he has, like, some fucking religious epiphany. He's like, fuck, that was wrong. I shouldn't have done it. That was horrible. And let's say he's legitimately never going to kill again. If the choice is between him just like sitting in a jail cell for 20 or 30 years versus going back out into society, contributing to the world in a positive way, like does he really need to stay locked up to prove a point? Like, what do we accomplish there? Or is that just like the time he has to serve as part of his social contract? That's just the agreement of being in society.
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to think now. Is that maybe being punished is a quite literal virtue signal to the rest of society that we all agree this is bad, and that there are heavy consequences for them.
Maybe. How do we pick and choose what we punish, though? So, like, I would say that most people would agree that stealing $500 from you is not as bad as your wife cheating on you or your husband cheating on you. But there is no criminal penalty whatsoever for infidelity, when that's like, to some people, that's some of the worst shit you can do. But $500 could, you know, wind you in small claims court or something, or criminal charges, depending on the state.
My instinct was to say damages, but then if there's no party to be damaged somehow, then it wouldn't make sense, right?
What do you mean?
Like, there has to be an injured party.
Well, if somebody cheats on their significant other, aren't they injured?
What about crimes without, like, I'm talking about like other crimes.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, like, that's an example of, like, you talk about it being kind of a virtue signal where society's saying, like, these things are wrong, that's why we punish you for them. But there are some things in society that everybody agrees are very wrong, but we don't punish for them. Like, cheating is one, lying is another. Like, we don't punish people for these things, but we all kind of agree that they're wrong.
Oh, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Let me think for a second. When someone is cheating on someone else, do we see that as something that we want as as a part of society? Do we want to govern personal relationships?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the right answer is.
I feel like personal relationships is just one of the areas of society that are so messy and complicated that we really just said, okay, well, let's just not deal with it.
I mean, when physical violence is brought up, right? Sometimes, like,
Yeah,
abusive
that's like,
partners. Yeah.
That falls under other like aspects of law, right?
Sure.
And guarantees of safety. Like the government has an obligation to keep you safe, at least physically, and probably mentally, somewhat. Wait, hold on. Then personal relationships would. I'm back in.
Dude, you're gonna die. Wait, did you have COVID or the flu or what?
I never got tested for the flu. I tested negative for COVID.
Huh. Okay.
They said it's probably something flu, and then RSV is going around and maybe underreported, but
I had an annoying little fucking cough for like a week after I had COVID, so that's why I was wondering if you like just that like for like a week, which is really fucking annoying.
It's at least bronchitis, so
yeah, you're gonna die, but that's okay. We'll miss you.
Oh my god. I'm coughing so much I'm forgetting what we were talking about. Oh, personal relationships, right?
Yeah.
What can you think of examples where we govern personal relationships in the law?
No, not really. Outside of like contracts, although even those are civil matters, or like physical abuse or anything.
So I guess if my position is we should punish immoral actions, then the government get involved in that stuff. right? No?
The government shouldn't be involved in that stuff?
Well, if my position is the government, or if my position is, if you break social contracts, you should be punished, then I would be arguing for the government to be getting involved in personal relationships, right? That's the logical conclusion.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
And I think that would be okay in a perfect society where there was like more perfect information. But I don't think we can have that in the world we exist in today. And that's how I would justify not codifying infidelity into the law.
Maybe.
Do you see any holes in that?
I don't think most people would agree with that, just because we don't have perfect information, because that implies that, like, if we did have perfect information, wouldn't that imply that we should be punishing those things legally? Like, let's say we did have perfect information of, like, infidelity. Should that be, like, punished in a court of law? Like, should you go to jail for that?
From my, if I have the position that there should be punishments for immoral actions, then yeah.
Damn, savage.
But is it reasonable? Oh, do we do take into account like or the human condition into the law, right?
Yeah, of course. The reasonable test.
That's why
for everything,
we
yeah.
degree murder in 3 different categories.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even if we did codify infidelity into the law, it would be a pretty minor punishment just because of how we're biologically wired in some ways.
You think so?
Doesn't that make sense?
No.
Are you just using me as an excuse to play Factorio?
No, I'm engaging with you, motherfucker. Fuck you.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you better be.
Why does that not make sense?
Well, I mean, there's a human condition reason to do any crime, right? But you can still be punished for it, right?
You said earlier that like infidelity was like one of the worst things that you could do to a person, right?
That's what people feel like. I don't think so, but I'm also a sexual deviant. But a lot of people seem to have that feeling that like infidelity is like one of the worst fucking crimes that can ever fucking happen to a human being. People talk like it's worse than fucking murder.
Oh,
What?
How do
Somebody say something?
we adjust punishments? Because we don't do it based off of proportional damage, do we? Like if we don't say robbing $100 from a homeless man is worth more jail time than stealing $100 from a millionaire, right?
We don't say that stealing $100 from a poor person is the same as stealing $100 from a millionaire? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, like we don't make a difference in when we write laws, right? Do we?
I don't think so. No, like $5,000 is $5,000. Like whether it qualifies as a misdemeanor, or class A, B, or C, or whatever, right? Yeah.
So it wouldn't matter. So infidelity would have to be taken. If we were to codify infidelity, it would have to be taken into.
Well, here I think we're getting really far away from. Where were we at originally with this?
Oh shit. Oh, we were talking about punishments in jails, whether they should be punitive or.
So you think that? I mean, like, because if this is something you believe, I mean, there's not really a counter to it. I think it's just kind of like a fundamental belief. You think that you think that just punishment should be part of the social contract. That if you break a rule, a social rule in some way, you're going to be punished for it, irrespective of whether you're rehabilitated or not. There just has to be some punishment.
Yeah, if you break the social contract, there has to be a consequence for your actions.
Gotcha. What if you could show that one would make for a better society and one would make for a worse society? That in one you could rehabilitate people more effectively, get them back onto the street, things would be better off that way. Would that make a difference to you at all, or would you not care?
I don't think I would care.
Uh-huh.
Because it's kind of like the argument for freedom of speech, right? There is a perfect world where there is no freedom of speech, but
sure,
we value it for other reasons.
Okay,
And I think
that's fair.
social contract is one of those. Which is I was arguing with Rubinate and the other people in the group chat about
the group chat
about the electoral college.
Uh-oh.
One of my big reasons for being in support of the electoral college is that it's an agreement that the states made,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think that without an overwhelming support of the I don't think you can take away the electoral college without going through the amendment process of the Constitution. I think
Sure.
that's the only reality in which I could possibly justify changing the electoral college.
Sure. I think that's fair personally, but obviously that triggers the fuck out of a lot of other people.
Yeah, because like the original agreement, the only reason like the union was formed in the first place is because
states had those protections, basically those guarantees, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, and like to take them away in any way other than what they agreed upon, the agreed upon levers to which to do that
Mm-hmm.
seems that would actually be a reason for seceding from the union.
Sure.
I was hoping you'd disagree on some part of that, but
Well, I'm one of the only people I know that's in favor of the electoral college, so I'm like the worst person to debate against that with.
I'm gonna debate Ruminate on that one in January. We're gonna
shit.
We're gonna hash that one out.
Well, good luck.
Oh, Pisco's mad.
He's not. He like farms chat. He'll come in and he'll make one comment and then he leaves. It's just what he's done. He's trying to like raise his stocks or something for like the past like 3 months. What the fuck? Oh shit.
Jump in, Pisco. Let's talk about the electoral college. You can be my practice warm up.
Wow, Pisco's relegated to being a warm-up cuck. Really?
He said K 1 second.
That's how you view him. Wow. Yikes, bro. Major yikes.
You view the 50 states. I think I have a somewhat unique view of them, and I wanna see if you have a similar one.
How do I view the 50 states?
What's going on?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
You like the electoral college?
Holy shit.
Yes, I do.
Oh no.
Why?
Well, not necessarily I like it.
Oh, the walk back.
Do
Oh,
you like
man.
it or do you not like it?
I think it is an agreement that we shouldn't go back on. That's what I'll
What do you
say.
mean it's an agreement we shouldn't go back on? As
Like
like, a
when a-
matter of what?
As a matter it's like part of all the original
Don't
states
make me.
signing on to
Please
it.
do not make me bring up all this stupid shit that was in the Constitution that's had to be changed.
Yeah, but we changed it through the official like channels, right? We did amendments.
True.
So okay, I could be in favor of an amendment to the Constitution to get rid of the electoral college, and what would be wrong with that?
Oh, he's okay with that. He already said that.
I'm okay with that.
Okay,
I'm saying any other
so
way
let's
of
talk about let's talk about the processes that the states are doing to implement that without a constitutional amendment, which is the Constitution explicitly grants states the authority to allocate their electoral college votes however they want. The states don't have to have popular elections at all for president. They can allocate that. That was an argument that Trump was giving. They can allocate the electoral votes by passing a law. It says all of our electoral college votes go to the Republican candidate. What would be wrong with that? I mean, this Constitution is very clear.
I think the spirit of that was very contextual, and I'd be okay with like states amending their constitutions to determine how they want to do that.
That's for the states to decide. I mean, why do they have to make a
giving the states the
constitutional
prerogative to do that? I think is important.
No, they already have it. It's not something they have it by the Constitution. The Constitution.
Yeah, I think it's important for them to have that, right?
Okay, so if the state, if the Constitution grants near unilateral and almost limitless authority, obviously there are external constraints within the Constitution that would prevent a law that said something like you're not allowed to put our electoral votes towards a certain race of candidate. I'm sure there are things that would be unconstitutional about a particular allocation, and once you have granted the franchise to your people, the Supreme Court has made clear that there are limits on what you can do in terms of restrictions on voting. But having not sort of granted the right to vote directly for a president in a state election, what would be wrong with the state saying something like, our electoral votes go to the winner of the national popular vote? The Constitution gives them that right.
I think that goes against the spirit of giving the states the right to distribute their electoral college votes.
What do you mean? It's totally within the spirit. The states are given the authority to allocate their electoral votes.
Hold on. Wait a second. I'm getting a call in right now from Past Pisco. Interesting. Past Pisco from the year 2022 is saying that, Stephen, do you remember a long time ago when I argued with you that technically we could have a coup that follows the letter of the law, but because it violates the spirit of the law, we could still call it a coup? How does modern day Pisco respond to that one?
That is totally out of left field about a conversation we had with respect to abuse of authority, abuse of power, where you said in order to abuse of power only exists when you don't have the power.
Well, yeah, so we were having a conversation where you brought up the point that, like, it's probably possible to have a legal coup, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, we could go through an amendment process where eventually we've amended the Constitution enough that, like, the president is the God Emperor and he can do whatever he wants, including, like, murdering the death of people. And you're like, would you consider that
enabling acts with respect to Weimar? Yeah.
And, like, would we consider that a coup if we got there through, like, clever means of, like, Senate blockages and, like, gentlemen's agreements? Like, could we do it legally? And I'm like, yeah, because you were challenging me when I said, well, as long as you're following the process, it's probably not a coup. And you're like, well, couldn't we imagine some ways that followed processes that were coups? And eventually I was like, yeah, you know what? Actually, we could.
Okay, it's a decent point.
So I feel like Sejin is making a similar argument. It's like, there are probably ways that we could get around to nullifying the Electoral College that doesn't involve maybe, like, a crazy amendment or whatever, but doesn't that kind of violate the spirit of why it existed, which was to guarantee, you know, smaller states some representation when it came to voting for president? I think is what, that's what Past Pisco is arguing here on Sejin's behalf.
But for me, like, the bar for that kind of thing is some crazy deviation from the structure of the Constitution in a way that is, like, very obviously, I think, inconsistent with, like, the base bedrock foundations of our government. Something like the vice president, unilaterally deciding the outcome of an election.
That's true, but I would say it feels like, you're going to know more about the Constitution than I do, because fuck that shit. But doesn't it feel like the Constitution at its bedrock, like, really massively disproportionately favors states as entities? Doesn't that seem like
this is still doing that, right? This is the very thing. The Constitution explicitly grants the authority to allocate electoral votes to the states. Mm-hmm. The states themselves are making a rule that says, you know how you get our electoral votes? In this state, it's the winner of the popular vote. And that's why couldn't they do that? They could. You agree with this, I think, Destiny. With your limited, I know you're not a lawyer. The state could say something like this. The state could say, the tallest candidate gets the electoral votes of the state of Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Would there be anything unconstitutional about that? I mean, that's a stupid law.
My understanding is no, there wouldn't be. I could be wrong.
I don't think there would be either. Maybe you could invent some kind of like, I don't know, some arbitrary threshold, but typically states, this is a power delegated to the states. That's a political question. If you have a problem with the tallest restriction and all the votes going to the tallest person, that's a political question for you to determine in your state. And if that rule is okay, and a rule that seems preposterous to us, why wouldn't it be okay to have a rule that seems totally rational and abiding with our principles of democracy?
Yeah, I don't know. Wait, so what are you arguing on behalf of right now?
The argument is, I don't think that it's a perversion of the Constitution. It's using the explicit delegation of authority in the Constitution.
Wait, what's not a perversion of the Constitution? That's what I'm...
By state statute or state legislative provision or constitutional provision to implement these kind of... you have to have a certain threshold. You have to have 270 total, but to have the kind of interstate voting compact, which would, in essence, make a national vote, national popular vote.
Yeah, how do you respond
Which
to
I think
that,
is what Sejin's upset about, because he said he's okay with an amendment for it.
Yeah, because amendment would require but a supermajority.
So, like an amendment, we had an amendment to the Constitution to ban alcohol.
Yeah, and then we got rid of that shit.
Okay, but like now we know that do you think that drug laws are unconstitutional?
What is the argument? Why was the DEA able to form without an amendment, but the prohibition of alcohol needed an amendment?
I'm not so sure. Well, you could say that the interstate
would have applied. That would have applied though to alcohol. No?
But back then it wasn't. When they passed the amendment, it wasn't as developed as our understanding of the Commerce Clause wasn't as robust as it is now. But there were people who said that it was constitutional to have alcohol ban in the United States just based on existing provisions. But just because you could do something by constitutional provision doesn't mean you have to. Same thing, like, is it necessarily the case that you needed to have an amendment to the Constitution to get rid of slavery? I mean, there are other ways to get rid of slavery in the country besides constitutional amendment. You could have all the states pass their own laws. You could have...
yeah, well, like, at that point, you don't need the amendments if every state gets rid of it.
Just saying that it's possible to do something through constitutional amendment doesn't mean that that's the best way to do it or the only way to do it.
It is when it's the agreement between all the 50 states.
I don't understand. I mean, if the Constitution provides another way to do something, you could do it that way. Just like you could have some kind of ballot initiative in your state. You could pass that through, if your state constitution allows, you could pass that through a law, or you could have a state constitutional provision explicitly saying that you have a ballot measure provision in the state. There's nothing in the Constitution says that the exclusive means of altering of enacting otherwise constitutional legislation is through the amendment process. That seems to put the thing on its head. I would assume that the states are assumed sovereigns, and especially when we're talking about a constitutionally delegated power, I'm going to assume the state has the authority to do that unless there's something that says it doesn't. And I'm not going to read in like an extra provision of the Constitution that says, oh yeah, you can allocate your electoral votes however you want, except you can't do it by national popular vote. Where, if all you textualists, where is that in the Constitution?
Well,
people
I
who
think
agree
that
with the state sovereignty.
That's the principle of living in a representative democracy, right?
The principle of living in a democratic
representative
republic is representative democracy is to like read into the Constitution some exclusion.
It's to represent
that's not
your
there.
constituents within your state.
Yeah, and the way that they're represented within their state is saying we defer to the national consensus. That's what the state actor is doing. The state is deferring to the national consensus. And if they have a problem with that, guess what? There's election. I mean, this is the argument against abortion, against Roe v. Wade by a lot of conservatives is we agree with more laws and state prerogatives and state control over these issues, unless it's an issue we don't like. Unless we're talking about the states exercising their own authority and their own sovereignty in a way that inconveniences us, in a way that we don't think the country should go that way. Bullshit.
Wait, fuck, who just joined and left? Who was it?
Sushio.
Why the fuck did she just join and leave? Fuck, it triggers me when people do that. Okay, sorry, go on. What are you doing awake right now, Bisco?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's been a long day.
Is that a good long day or a bad long day?
I just had a lot of work.
Oh, okay.
How you been?
Okay.
You never came to New York?
No, I decided to stay home. I was too stressed.
Oh, sorry about that. Internet?
Yeah. But don't worry, in 1 week, hopefully by the 4th, maybe in the night of the 3rd, but hopefully by the 4th, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
You didn't,
internet-wise, not New York-wise.
What do you say?
Internet-wise, not New York-wise.
Oh, internet-wise, yeah, I don't know about New York. Yeah. We'll see.
It's the best, bro. You should just come here.
Yeah? Yeah. Sushi, did you want to contribute to the understanding of...
Meow.
Nope, okay. Okay.
Meow.
Stop.
Okay. Where were we, Pisco?
Oh, we were talking... I mean, I don't know. I think you're bullshit.
Ooh.
Whoa.
I think you're talking a bunch of shit, and I think that your argument is garbage.
Do you think that a congressman from, let's say, like, Nebraska, should be voting based off of national polls?
I'm sorry. The state legislature of Nebraska would be the one who's decided, not the congressman from Nebraska. The state legislature of Nebraska, they're the ones who are allocating their electoral votes. Not their...
I'm asking if in the House of Representatives, you think that someone from a representative from Nebraska should be voting based off national polls instead of their state.
What do you mean? It's a matter of what? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I'm sure there are times where I think that that representatives should be conscious and aware of the needs of their own particular constituencies, and there's times where we act as one country and that we should put national interests first. So I want my congressperson, on a lot of things to be worried about whatever state I'm in if I'm in New York, right? But if I'm thinking about like national security, right, I want my congressperson thinking about all of us. And so there are some domains in which I'm sure I want them to be focused on
well, national security would align with your own, right? But what if it's in direct conflict with your own?
Then I would put the national interest first, right? Like would you say like, what are you talking? You're just...
No, I'm not trolling. Think about that. That's not true. You always want your congressman should be representing your interests in the federal court in Congress. Absolutely.
Your allegiance first and foremost is to the United States Constitution, and you're not. What are you talking about? What the? That's what you swear an oath to. Uphold and protect the U.S. Constitution.
I'm just saying that if I'm electing my congressman, I don't need him to represent like the greater interests of the United States. Like, that's the job of Congress as a whole.
That's their first and most principal allegiance is to the United States Constitution. If you don't like that, you can go back to being Articles of Confederation.
Hold on. Okay, wait. Don't. Okay, not. Okay, you're asking something fundamentally different right now.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you switched it. You switched it from like national interest, which is what we were talking about, to now like you pledge allegiance to the Constitution. Those are two fundamentally different things.
What I'm saying is there are times, so first and foremost, the survival of the U.S. Constitution, what our founders wanted was a union that lasted. And that means when, especially in terms of national security, in matters that affect all the states, I absolutely want our Congress thinking about us as one America. Now, I want always my elected officials to be concerned about local issues and to be representing the interests of my people vis-a-vis, because I think, guess what? I think the American people also care about national interests. And I think there are times when the American people want to act as one people. And so
there might be, but like, let's say, for instance, let's say we have a national security issue, and that issue has to do with the manufacturing and the production of steel, right? Now, my feelings about that as a resident in a state that has nothing to do with steel manufacturing might be far different than a state that heavily relies on it. So maybe like a bunch of states are like, yeah, we need to make our own steel and, you know, fuck importing it from China. Like if I've got 3 or 4 states, it's like, okay, well, 50% of our economy relies on imported steel. I want that to be represented to the U.S. Congress via my representative, because the president's not going to do it. He's thinking about the country, right? I would want my individual senator or my individual representative to be representing my interests in front of that legislative body, not the interests of the whole country.
The perspective, okay, but local residents and local interests also take into account national interests. We rise as one, we fall as one on a great deal of issues.
That's not, but what that might be true factually, but that's not going to be true. That's not going to be true. That's not going to be true from the representative point of view.
That interest will be considered. Absolutely, that interest should be considered. But do I want always the predominating interest of all congresspeople to be focused into their particular pet issues, and not even just their pet issues? Because think about it, the states themselves, it's who votes. You know, you're worried about particular constituencies, the swing voters in your particular state. You're not necessarily, even people who are, you know, appealing to local interests, it's not necessarily even the majority of the people there. It's the people who matter that you want to swing their votes, or the constituencies or donors that you care about in that particular state. And so I think that you should consider those things, but when we're dealing with national issues that are in their character, you know, more national or more urgent, that get to the core of America and our safety or our status, I absolutely think that our congresspeople should be putting their country first, always.
Okay, so let's say you're a representative, or you live in South Dakota, and it would be in the national interest to annex South Dakota into North Dakota and make it one Dakota. You're saying that a congressman should advocate for the annexation if they're from South Dakota, even though if it's not in the state's interest to be annexed into North Dakota?
As you know, the Constitution requires the consent of the state to be incorporated into the other state for them to sign off on it.
What does that consent look like? From the state legislature, or?
I believe it's from the state government. That should be an article. Oh my God, article.
Sushi, stop.
I was using an extreme example, but the spirit of that could be applied in.
No, I understand your question, and some of the problems with that question is it's defining the scope and authority of every state by getting rid of a state, right? So the problems you're facing that is that, like, the states themselves, it's a little bit arbitrary where they are and how they show up. It's related to history, it's related to where people congregate and stuff, but there is no, like, other than history, there is no, like, ultimate rationality behind where the states are and what they are.
Wait, that's not true today, though, right?
Not today, right?
Like states,
now there is a character. Now there's a state character.
Well, even forget characters and all that shit. States represent independent, like, legislative bodies, independent, like, governments that have to be reconciled with, regardless of Rhode Island or California, the size geographically, the population wise. Like, states represent independent, like, little legislative bodies, kind of, right? Or little mini nations.
But his hypothetical is getting rid of one, right?
Yeah.
Getting rid of a government that since its inception has been assumed sovereign. And so those kinds of, like, internal power distribution questions are difficult to answer. Like, if the fate of the nation rested upon South Dakota being incorporated in North Dakota, what do you think, Sejin? Do you think, and you were the vote that was deciding it, do you think the good congressperson...
South Dakota, I would vote, fucking leave my state alone. What are you talking about?
Wait, you're saying if the fate of the nation rested on this, right? So if you don't vote this way, some horrible event's going to occur in the country, which would...
I can't... Okay.
I don't know. A civil war will start if you don't do it.
A civil war would start? I don't know.
There are things where you put your country first, even if it means, you know, getting rid of whatever extra political power a particular constituent has. Because I think ultimately this is an American country. I know we're made up of states, but at the end of the day, if it's a matter of national concern, of true national concern, how can you say that, like, the interests of South Dakota, that's ultimately what we're going to bend to?
Because it's my right as a sovereign state to be a sovereign state.
What does that mean?
Yeah, nice tautology, loser.
Like,
that's just another way to say it, just because.
It's like if
why are you in favor of like the movement to split Texas up into or California up into multiple states, or to incorporate some parts of Washington into their own state, their own Republican state?
Well, the way that would work would be like the state government of California would have to split. One stays in the.
I'm asking if you're in favor, not the procedure behind implementing it.
Sorry, go. Repeat that.
I'm asking you, like, are you in favor of the self-determination of the peoples of California to split off into 4 states?
Well, they would have to renegotiate their participation in federal government.
I'm asking if you are in favor of that proposition of the peoples. If they really desired it, do you think that they should split up? They should be allowed to split up into 4 states.
If they really desired it, I'm so confused right now. Hold on, because I feel like we have to talk about procedure here, right? Because if you want to do that to a state, they couldn't exist in the union,
so
right?
you have the choice is before you. Procedure is done correctly. It's put before the Congress. Congress approves it. California approves it. Everyone approves it. And you're the person who has to decide. Let the Californians. They want to split up, so let them.
If everyone agrees, what's the problem here?
Right? Do you think that should be okay? Like that anyone in this country who wants to be a state, any group of people should let them be a state.
If the federal government agrees, if the state government agrees, why not?
Because then it's like the who wants to be a state is determined. Like as long as you have the proper procedure followed, you're fine with the states themselves are just expressions of people's self-determination to be independent, right?
Yes.
And so there's nothing nothing special about South Dakota as such, right? South Dakota could just as easily they could say tomorrow.
Well, South Dakota and everyone in South Dakota have agreed that they are one sovereign state.
Right. So, what is there any limiting principle to this? Like, allow everyone who wants to be a state to be a state? Why should Congress reject? On what ground should Congress reject, or would you reject, efforts to split up into multiple states?
I mean, it's clearly a redistribution of political power. You get more Senate seats, right?
Yeah. So is there a valid ground to be like, yeah, I don't care if you want it, Congress shouldn't approve it?
Well, yeah, because if California were to split up, right, they would only one of those 4 states would have a standing agreement with the federal government. The other 3 would have to find they would have to be approved into the union.
Okay, California approves it, but Congress has to decide whether or not we want to allow this to happen. How are you?
And I would expect other states to say no, and then therefore California.
Why do they get the right? So other states get a right to once we're a state, we can shut down other people's
ability. Because you agreed as one California. You can't change the agreement and turn to 4 Californias and shove your way in.
What do you mean? Who agreed?
California,
but there are people who want to. California wants to split now. They want their own.
California wants to split. Only one of those states is the inheritor state.
Why wouldn't you let the people self-determine and
wait,
and
hold on, stop. That's a fair question. Let's say that there are 10 crops for 2 villages to share, and the villages come to an agreement like our village gets 5 and your village gets 5. We're splitting them equally between our 2 villages, and they have that agreement. And then let's say later on, one village is like, we're gonna split. Each of us want 3 now, and you're gonna be left with 3 or 4, right? Because that's fair because we split, and we're gonna evenly divide it between all 3 of us now instead. I don't think
you're making my point.
How am I making
You're
the
making
point?
my point.
No, Sejin is saying that if California wanted...
There's something inherently unfair about this whole situation, right? It's just history, right? It's just history that it happened to be that California is one state.
What? No.
And what you're saying here is like, it's fundamentally unfair. It's fundamentally unfair for California to, it's the same California, right? It's the same area. And now just by splitting and doing this gamesmanship, you get an advantage in national politics.
Yeah, I'm saying they don't get to do that.
Yeah, he's saying they shouldn't be allowed to do it.
The initial kind of distribution of that authority in the first place, that itself is repeating the problem that you're noticing in the afterwards proposal to split California into 4.
Wait, how?
You're noticing that it seems unfair that people who, for all intents and purposes, they're representing the same kind of area, or they have similar consistencies to other nearby states or to other polities, that they're getting outsized political influence. Just based
I don't
on
think this has
line drawing.
I don't think this has anything to do with that, and it's not based on line drawing.
It is based on line drawing. What are you talking about?
There exists a state of California, regardless of borders or people, even if there's one person, even if it's 90% of the country, even if it's 1% of the country, there exists some state called California that's made agreements with other states to be part of a country. For that state to suddenly split into 2, the rest of the states probably wouldn't agree to that, because it can't just like grow its political influence like that. That wouldn't be fair. That'd be a violation of
they have a problem. It's all a matter of, you agree, this is just all self-interest. There's nothing like the country would be better off. It's all self-interest of the state. My power will be diluted by the fact that the state's split up in 4.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, but what is the principle behind, like, the fundamental bedrock, like, I don't know, political principle behind not letting these people, if they truly want to split up into states, do so?
Well, that is the fundamental principle, is you would be violating the autonomy of the other states. You'd be violating the will, because those other states wouldn't have made that agreement with 4, or they didn't make that agreement with 4 separate entities.
But we do it all the time. We do this all the time. You think that the states, when they initially signed up, right? Like the states who seceded from the Union, right? When they initially signed up, they did not think, or they did not want slavery to get outlawed in the country.
Yeah.
That was their idea of what that was our agreement. It's in the Constitution implicitly.
Is the argument we're going to go
and then drag them back into the Union?
Yeah, it required a war to bring them back.
Right. We should not let the ideas of what the states thought at the time, when we got into it, totally lock us in.
There has to be some amount of lock-in. Otherwise, let's say one state splits, and then all of a sudden, like fucking, Florida or some shit, or like Wyoming is like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and split into 150 states now. Like, everything just falls apart. The system is destroyed.
I understand. I'm not an advocate for California to split up or Texas to split up.
Well, we're not advocating. We're saying that the principle is not good. That you can just there might be some things that states didn't originally agree on, but there's like a process you probably have to go through to split a state up that would require, I would imagine, the addition or subtraction of the state.
That uncomfort you're feeling, I think, is the fact that certain states have disproportionate influence based on these regions that we call states, and that makes you feel uncomfortable when the status quo is shifted. But this current status quo is bad. It's bad. The current status quo is not good.
I disagree. I think that if we had 50 states and all of them had 50-50 Republicans and Democrats in every single state, and one of those states decided to split evenly to two different states where it still maintained the same voter percentages, I still think that'd be a violation of the agreement of the states. They would need every state to come on board with that. They can't. Then that would be even if the influence did the same for everything, because you'd just be inventing another state out of nowhere that the other states didn't agree upon initially.
Forget about political parties for a moment. Think about from t=0, from time equals 0. Do you think that the current setup of political authority as between small states and large states population-wise, without thinking about parties or the current makeup of where people are and the swing states and all that, do you think that things as they are right now are a good idea?
Yeah.
In terms of the structure.
Yes.
You think, without knowing anything about political parties, you think it's good that?
Yeah, but we've already argued this.
Literally did this. It was called the Great Compromise.
Well, I think it's good that states are represented instead of not just people, not just geography, but that individual state governments have representation before Congress. But we've already argued this before, right? Before the Senate.
Well, then I'm sure you're against the direct election of senators.
Am I against the direct election of senators?
What do you mean by
took
that?
away authority of the state.
I like the idea of state legislatures electing senators. Actually, I think that was a cute idea because we'd care more about our local elections. But
do you think this country would be better off if we went back to the old system
of your state legislature choosing your senators?
Yeah. Look at the country around you and take an honest look and tell the truth.
Take an honest look and tell. It's not a matter of being honest. I would have to know what were the arguments for moving away from that system.
Why do you know the arguments, the contemporaneous arguments? Don't you have some thoughts about it without knowing those?
No, because there might have been really good reasons for why people moved away from that system, and I just don't know them. I'm not sure.
We can't come up with some now. We can't come up with arguments why it might be a bad idea to. We already have state gerrymandering that goes even harder oftentimes than the federal gerrymandering in the states. And you think that's think about how unequal the Wisconsin legislature is vis-a-vis the state as a whole.
I don't.
And now you want that to perpetually. Just think about the kind of outcomes that produces. Without the safety valve, I think is popular elections. That's the safety valve to prevent that kind of shift from happening.
Yeah,
states already have plenty of power. States are assumed sovereigns. They have plenty of power to legislate themselves. Look at what's happening in Florida versus what's happening in New York and Pennsylvania. They're different states that the character are completely different. If you go into Texas, it feels completely different because most of the things that you deal with every day is state law. The contracts you write, family law stuff, you said it yourself. That's why you advocate people to vote in their local elections.
Yeah, I don't know.
They have plenty of authority.
Listen, argue with Sejin, okay? Go back to him.
I have no idea what you're playing right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Cringe.
We got a little derailed.
So, I actually didn't know that state senates voted on their own senators instead of a popular election.
A long time ago, yeah.
That seems
Not
okay.
now. That seems okay. Do you think that's a good system? We should go back to that.
Well, not anymore. Got a little fucked with all the gerrymandering and shit.
Would you be against the state
if we undid all the damage that gerrymandering done? I'd say we could go back to that system.
So I just wanted to know finally, are you against states signing up to that interstate compact with respect to the Electoral College? Yes or no? What's your position on it? Do you support it or are you against it?
What does interstate compact mean?
Where the states are passing, not amendments, they're passing their own state, either usually statutory provisions that allocate their electoral votes to the winner of the national popular vote. Are you in favor of that or are you against that?
I'm missing context right now. Hold on.
He's pivoting with the cops, by the way. He does that as a diversion tactic.
Yeah, definitely not dying at all. So you're asking me, I'm okay with states determining where their votes go in the presidential election, electoral college votes?
Yeah, by state law, not by amendment.
By state law? Ooh, not by amendment? I think it would have to be case by case depending on what they're passing.
What are you talking about, case by case?
Like if they're saying that they're going to allocate their electoral college based
That's
off
a law.
of,
Michigan allocates its electoral votes to the winner of the national popular vote, as determined by the several states.
yeah, I'm not okay with that.
Why?
Because then your constituents' votes don't matter.
So you only care about state sovereignty when it's exercised in a way you agree with.
Ooh.
I mean, the state has you've been glorifying this entire time. You and Dustin both.
I think the
As soon as they do
principles of
something with their own
democracy
sovereignty, right?
portraying
They,
that.
they passed a law through their own processes. They have their own elections. They elected for their own, state senators, state house, assemblies, whatever their state legislature is, which is a creature of state constitutional law. They had their own process to determine how to allocate the electoral votes. You have been glorifying and just, I don't know, putting on a pedestal the notion of state sovereignty, which I think is important. It's an important foundational principle of this country. But the minute it's exercised in a way that you don't like, or you think it just, I don't know,
No,
it seems weird to you.
betrays
You say, you know what, they shouldn't be allowed to do that. States actually should not be allowed to exercise their sovereignty in that way. Because why?
Because I don't think that's one, the original purpose of giving it to them, and two, it betrays what the
Session determines what, how they're to exercise it, right? Why even have? Just go to Session. He'll tell you how you're supposed
All
to.
right, please, let me ask you this: why do you think
Yeah.
that we gave it to them originally? What are some scenarios where that might be handy?
To have states be sovereigns of their own electoral votes?
Yeah.
I think because there was a feeling that the executive, they were worried about the federal executive. They wanted a check on that executive, not only from Congress, but also directly from the states, right? So now the states who are already allowed to regulate federal elections as a matter of default with the legislative branch, they also get a say in the executive branch, just like they get a say in the federal elections for Congress. The states get a say in the federal elections for the executive branch, and so that'll have to do with the careful balance, right?
Wait, hold on.
Don't let him get
I
shallowed.
need to go back for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Good
What?
point.
Give me an
Nice.
example of what a situation that you think it was useful for the state sovereigns to have their electoral college votes be there. Like,
to be honest, I think it should be a national popular vote by the national amendment. But I can see reasons why advantages, right?
why
One
originally
advantage-
did we not do that? Do you think?
What's that? What?
Because
because people we just got out of. Right, there was this king named King George, and everyone was scared of him and him having too much power. You have these scary constitutional federalists like Alexander Hamilton who are talking about a American king. Who knows how much of that was serious and how much of that is, not true. And so there's a lot of, even though people recognize that the legislative branch is the most vigorous branch of government, there's a lot of fear of an over vigorous chief executive. And so having the power, a sort of a power that is not in the hands of the federal government, which is more potentially under the control of the chief executive, would be a check on the president's authority. especially in how the president comes to power himself or theirself.
So give me an example where this would come into play.
What do you mean this would come into play? So imagine that the president, the chief executive, has captured, because of national party interest, has captured the Congress in terms of like being corrupt. The states are, the state local interests, they're going to be able to curtail that national party interest and prevent the domination of the president over the Congress and have some input over who the next chief executive is going to be.
How does...
That's an example of, that I can think.
I don't know how that works. Wouldn't the chief executive still have control then?
Not if it's up for election, right? Then he has to please whoever's in charge of the state legislature. We didn't have even popular votes was not the norm in the first few elections. Those were just state legislatures assigning their electoral votes.
Yeah, I'm asking you, in what scenario?
I understand how this is relevant.
Because I think it's the intention.
You said before. So I was asking you. I was on a series of questions, asking you whether or not you were in favor of a particular thing, and you said, "Well, it has to be case by case," and you didn't really explain what you meant by that. And now we're talking about what are the potential policy reasons why an electoral college might make sense.
Okay.
Well, one reason is if the National Congress.
You were interrupting me, right? So
you just started asking me about policy rationales behind.
No, you clearly weren't listening.
Okay.
I said it betrays the principles of what it means to vote in a representative democracy. That's why I'm not okay with it.
What betrays so trying to extend one state electoral votes to the winner of the national popular vote betrays what it means to be in a representative democracy.
Yes.
But just directly passing a law that says our electoral votes always go to the Democratic Party, would that be the same thing? What do you think about that law?
Sorry, I was coughing. Can you repeat that?
So imagine that a state passes a law that says our electoral votes always go to the nominee of the Democratic Party.
That would also betray what it means to...
Wow. What are you talking about? They were assigned the states. If that's not allowed, then why is it allowed for states to pass their own resolutions in their first elections, allocating their electoral votes to George Washington? If you're not okay with them passing a law that says something to the effect of we're allocating it to people we agree with, then you just disagree with that part of the Constitution.
I disagree with the purpose of which states were given the freedom to allocate their electoral college votes.
Do you disagree with the electoral college?
What?
It sounds like you disagree with the electoral college.
No, I think it's okay. Like let's say it's 2020 again, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are killed in a terrorist attack, right?
Okay.
Now we have a constitutional crisis. They've just been elected and they're both dead, right?
Okay.
What do you propose happens if it goes by popular vote? Does Donald Trump get another term?
So you could have provisions for dealing with those situations in national popular vote. There's nothing that is not a problem, right?
That is absolutely a problem. Both of you.
That is not a problem. You could very easily make a provision to have an interim president. That's not an issue.
Who would the interim president be? How would it be selected?
These are problems that you could have whoever is the Speaker of the House be interim president until new elections are called.
So you
could do the same thing. You could literally have a state. You could have the in the case of the disablement or the death of a major candidate, the states shall elect electors to cast electoral votes, similar to what the electoral as a backup to the national popular vote interstate compact. that would all be totally fine. You could just piggyback the electoral college system that you love for those situations.
That you love. Oof.
But
So
I don't know why you're dodging. I don't know why you're getting away from the point, which is that you're not okay with the states exercising their sovereignty to say something like, we always assign our electors according to the Democratic Party. You're not okay with the state doing that, even though the Constitution
I'm not okay with them doing that because
they're allowed to.
Hold on, let's go back because I think this is really important. I don't think like you're saying that in 2020, House and Senate controlled by Republicans, the incumbent president is a Republican. Democrats get voted in, and if those two candidates are killed in like a terrorist attack, then Republicans control the executives still past the past the lame duck period.
We're gonna go back to that, those hypotheticals, and you're never gonna answer my questions.
Ooh.
I'll go back to it, but after I answer this question, will you address like what I'm talking about or no?
Yeah, we'll go back.
Okay. So just because there might be situations in which Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and whoever the candidate is for a particular party are killed, and the next in line is a Republican, doesn't mean that that's that could be true of the system of the electoral college right now. Like the system you offer, right, which is the current system, would allow for electoral votes to be given to Trump or any other Republican. There's nothing about your system that would prevent that outcome.
Well, it would. Well, you could have then states cast their votes for another popular Democratic nominee.
Is that any more fair? I mean, then at least Trump had millions of votes.
It's more fair than having the opposite party have their.
Because you're thinking in terms of party politics. You're not thinking in terms of the structure. Here's the other candidate. You're thinking in terms of the now and like the current political climate. But you're not thinking about the structure of a government there's gonna be stuff that happens past Trump.
Principle still
what happened in 2020.
You don't get to kill the candidates and replace them with your person that's next in line over and over again in perpetuity to delay like the transfer of power.
So you would rather the electoral votes go to some party, who knows, right? So maybe the other Democrats who
someone that represents the
Biden,
same
right?
policies and platforms that
you would rather you would
rather
the president be a creature of the parties rather than someone who got millions of actual votes.
In the event that the previous candidate was killed, yeah.
Well, one of the beautiful things about our chief executive is that and the differences between the parliamentary system is there's a disconnect between the head of government, right, the prime minister in the case of a lot of parliamentary systems is often is an insider of the party. That's not necessarily true in the American system. Trump was very much not in line with a lot of Republicans, and he brought them in line, but there's nothing that necessarily connects the Republican legislature to Trump's office. And what you're saying is, I trust the party system. And I would prefer it if party insiders, in the case of the death or disability of the candidates, I prefer they decide, not the people who voted, but the party insiders.
Jeez, Sejin, really?
And now, because we said we'd go back, right?
In a world where you have a popular vote determining it, you could just kill the guy over and over again in perpetuity and have control forever.
What are you talking about? Like any system, if you put any system will, you can find breaking points with any system, right? You're saying that you could endlessly kill whoever the electors are voting for as they meet, and then they'll never be able to meet, and they'll never be able to vote for someone. I mean, I think you're trolling, right? Are you trolling?
Ooh. Bad faith accusation number 1 has come out.
I'm saying that any system that you propose where we can't have an immediate replacement of power is betraying the transfer of power that is so important to our democracy.
What the hell? What about your system is an immediate transfer of power? So the electors come, the electors gather, right? Until the electors gather and vote, no one has been the president. No one's like in line to be the president yet. The electors vote for a candidate. That candidate dies before inauguration. What does the Electoral College do about that?
Electoral College gets the next person with the same ideas.
Where is that in the Constitution?
That's the prerogative of the states. That's generally what we trust them to do when we gave them the power to allocate their electoral
Everything
college.
you're saying about there being like some weird gap in time or some weird thing that happens if the processes for there's a time gap between the processes for which we appoint the president and when they actually take office, that's all true of the Electoral College. And so this has all just been a mind-boggling waste of time.
Ooh.
My question is about your views with respect to state sovereignty. And you seem to say before, a few minutes ago, that you are not okay with this state passing a law that's under the effect of our electoral votes go to the Republican candidate, or electors come from the Republican Party.
I'm not okay with when we agree as 50 different states, right? The idea is we all.
Will you answer my question for like once?
I'm answering it.
No,
Listen.
I asked you a question
Use
about
your ears, Mr. Lawyer.
law. I asked you about a particular law that I'm proposing.
I'm saying I disagree with it for this reason. Okay, when you have an agreement with 50 other states to cast your votes based off how your constituency votes, when some people start betraying that, you're taking away the power from other states that are representing their votes.
The Constitution doesn't give you the right to vote for president.
Constitution doesn't give you the right to vote for president.
You don't vote for president.
Yeah, you vote for what your state is then going to vote for president.
No, all the states in the union have made a popular vote system. But they don't have to. The states are not obligated to have a democratic contest for president.
So would you be okay with the states saying, I'm okay, every year every election we're going to allocate all our electoral college votes to the person that comes in second?
Fuck no. No, I'm not okay with that.
Why are you not okay with that?
Because that's stupid. The person who comes in first should win. Or as there's a right to a system, the winner of whatever system that is should win.
They passed it. They passed it in their Senate. That
I think that's stupid. That's why I believe in a national popular vote. You're the one who's in favor of the Electoral College and state sovereignty. The state constitutional system that we work with, the federal constitutional system we work with right now, allows for the kinds of laws that I'm talking about. Where you just say, there's no vote for electors in the state. What we do is we meet and gather on November, the first Tuesday of every November, as according to the, whatever congressional laws passed. And we always allocate our electoral votes, or we always have our electors be of the Republican Party. That's how we do it. There's nothing unconstitutional about that. That's what your system allows for now. Are you okay with that? Destiny, are you okay with that?
Oh, I'm just playing Vine sounds.
Wait. Destiny, are you okay with that?
Wait, say that one more time.
Are you okay with the fact would you be okay with a law, or for states to have the power to say something like, our electors are always Republican? They have the power to do that now. Are you okay with them having that power?
I'm going to answer your question with a question.
Yeah.
Should a man be able to submit himself to infinite servitude? Like sell himself into slavery? Because it's like the same type of question. I don't know the answer to that. Like, assuming we go through all of the democratic processes, let's say you genuinely have a country where 70% of the population wants to vote away democracy. Should they have the ability to do that?
Should they have the ability
to vote away their democracy?
That is a difficult question.
It is. That's kind of what your question is getting at. Like, if we have a process by which, like, do you agree that states should be allowed to run their elections? Do you think they should be allowed to do that? They should have that authority granted to them? Or
as a default matter, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
But
then let's say they do wish to start to. Or go ahead.
I think that there's a strength to that, although it's concurrent. I guess jurisdiction or concurrent authority to do that, because Congress can displace state law with respect to those kinds of elections. And I just
wait. Is that true?
Yeah.
Can you give me any? I thought that states have basically full control over how their elections run,
with the proviso that Congress can displace any state law. Well, most not.
Are you just talking broadly speaking that federal laws supersede state laws?
No. There is the elections clause of Article 1 gives states the default authority to regulate their elections. There's some things that Congress can't touch. I think there's like qualifications they can't touch. And there's some debate and litigation about what that means. But in general, congressional law, federal law on congressional elections will supersede state law.
Okay, wait. What the fuck is the point of this clause? The times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof, so by the state legislatures, but the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations.
Yeah,
why does that?
That's what I said, right?
Yeah, yeah, but what the fuck is the point of this clause? It sounds like it's basically saying you have complete control over your elections, except for when we want control over your elections.
Except when Congress says no.
Yeah, wait, what's the point of that?
The point of that is to say that, like, on a day-to-day basis, states, we're going to give you some power, but the reality of it is there's so many election-related stuff that it's unlikely that Congress is going to touch everything. But ultimately, right, a legislature needs to be in charge, be the ultimate decider of the rules that establish who's a part of that legislature, right? They thought it was perverse. If you read the Federalist Papers, they're like, it's perverse that a legislature would not have the power to define the rules.
So here's a question: Would you would be opposed to a state that is 70% Republican, saying all of our electors are going to be Republican, right?
I don't think that states should have the power with respect to the president, which is a very national character office, I think, to define those kinds of rules. I don't like that. I'm okay with the state consistently.
Congress could theoretically do it, though, right? A Congress could say for this state,
no.
we're gonna. No?
Right now?
Yeah, doesn't this clause give them the ability to do that? That they could make a regulation saying that all of your electors are going to be...
Don't confuse it with the presidential electors clause. This is for congressional elections. This is for the House of Representatives initially, and then after...
you're talking about the electors for the Electoral College.
So this is the elections clause of Article 1, and there's federal electors clause.
Oh, okay, my bad. Okay,
that gives authority to... Actually, Congress has some authority to regulate presidential elections, but ultimately, states don't even have to have votes for president. You don't have to have it.
Gotcha.
I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should always have... Don't you think it should be forced to have popular votes for president?
Shouldn't it be forced to have popular votes for president?
Shouldn't it be your right to vote for the president of the United States?
I don't know. I would have to go and read the documents. I'm not actually sure. I don't know where that...
Should it be your right to vote for anyone?
Or
only your state?
I think in your state. So I don't know how it's written in the Constitution. Does an individual citizen...
You do not have you do not have...
Yeah, is it a right delegated to the states, or is it a right delegated to the individual citizens? Okay, so if it's states, then yeah,
votes.
Yeah, then you don't have the right to vote on your president.
I'm telling you, that's the way it is. Do you think should you have the right to vote for the president in this country?
I think that comes down to whether or not you agree with the Electoral College or not. Because if you don't want any sort of disproportionate representation, if you don't want that, then the answer ought to be yes, you vote and then one vote for the president.
Well, at the very least, don't you think, even if we have it so that we have state elector systems. Don't you think there should be a clause that says every state is mandated to have a popular vote to determine their electoral votes?
Is it right now?
No. Read Bush v. Gore.
Well, what are you asking me? Should it be mandated? It's probably one of those things that doesn't have to be mandated, right? Because like I imagine if a state were to try to overturn that or make a law against it, the people would fucking revolt. I don't know if any state would go for
but there were, you forget what we just went through. This is why people like. Okay, I'm sorry. I gotta chill out because I'm being very soy right now.
Be hard.
I'm being very soy.
This is why people what? Say it.
This is why I feel frustrated with the discourse around like what Trump did and January 6th and all that stuff is because people forget. My man was having conversations with these state legislatures because there actually is some like colorable argument. I'm not saying it's a winning argument, and I would fight it to the end of the earth, that states could just pass a law that says, you know, we allocate our electoral votes to Trump. Or
yeah, but there's going to be like a I'm sure there's technical terms for this, and I'm sure you remember from your law school days so long ago. But like there's laws, and then there's like the effective like enforcement of said laws. So for instance, I'm pretty sure there's still laws on the books against sodomy in like fucking 34 states or something.
Yeah.
And even though these exist on the books, like somebody could theoretically say like, oh my God, if you have anal sex, you're going to get like, you know.
I hear you, bro.
Yeah.
I think I know where you're going.
Yeah. But the reality is it would never get enforced. Or a really good example is the monarchy in the United Kingdom, right? That theoretically the Queen of England could say no to a whole bunch of legislation, but could she really? Like if that happened, she would instantaneously be shot down.
I think I'd feel better about it, but I think that there was a big threat to it in the last cycle.
Theoretically, I kind of agree with that. Yes, that it seemed like there were a lot of levers of democracy that were tested by Trump. And luckily, every time he turned to another door, it was slammed in his face. But theoretically, we would have been in a very strange area if Pence would have tested. Could the vice president, throw out all of the electoral votes? Or could states just say, no, we're not going to certify this election? And that would test things, yeah. But that comes down to, right, like the strength of our institutions more so than just like the parchment guarantees based on the letter of the law, right?
I hear you on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm totally in agreement that like there are very few systems that are gonna survive bad people.
Yeah.
If you have bad people, you're
like
just,
if a Donald Trump was elected as was it the governor of Georgia or was it the state what was the name of the position of the guy that he called?
The state secretary of state.
Yeah. So what if the secretary of state was a Donald Trump and the president of the United States was a Donald Trump? In that situation, what happens?
Was a Trump?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Or if you get two of those people in power instead of just Trump,
but
what
I'm even
happens?
more fundamental than that. Bad people, bad voter, a bad electorate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any system that has crappy people and people who are greedy, selfish, and I don't know, who are anti-democratic, it's very hard for any system to survive that kind of
Yeah, but then that gets into the question I asked you earlier, which is, should a system survive that? Should a people be allowed to vote away their democratic rights?
Because I generally believe that I'm more trusting of people than autocrats and individuals, and I'm more faithful of in general, right? There are always going to be cases that go against it. Of that power being diffused and separated strongly, I'm always going to say yes to that because because I'm a small d Democrat, because I'm someone who believes in democracy. And if you answer no to that question, which is should they have the right to not be a democracy, then you don't believe in democracy. You don't think it's an effective thing. And the answer is like, yeah, some countries the democracy will destroy itself. But if you believe in democracy, you have faith that most won't turn out that way.
Yeah, I guess. How do you? There are answers to this. I'm just curious how you would answer. I think that some of the largest expansions of federal government power. What?
Go ahead, sir.
Oh, I think some of the
I
largest
saw small d in the chat and I laughed.
Oh, some of the largest expansions of federal government power came around the Civil Rights Act time, and a lot of people were really ass mad that the federal government was starting to get involved, in the daily lives of like a lot of workers in the United States or businesses, where it was taking away some of their democratic rights to engage in forms of discrimination against other types of people. Like, well, I can't have like a no black person, not that, but like, or I have to hire equally now. Like, isn't this a violation of like my right to employ who I want, to conduct business with who I want? How do you square away those things that are kind of anti-democratic under the auspice of like extending freedom to other people? Like, how does that work? Yeah.
I think that there were tons of people who said, where in the Constitution does it say that you're allowed to regulate racial issues within the states? I mean, we're not, these laws extend not just to organizations traveling in interstate commerce or the instrumentalities or channels of interstate commerce. These are laws that affect entirely intrastate activity. And the answer is, well, those laws were democratically enacted, and
well, what's the difference
those
between
laws were
that?
tested.
What's the difference between that and what I asked before, where it's like, could you democratically vote away some rights? Like, some people would argue that that's what happened, that we democratically voted away our right to conduct private affairs in a way that we would want to. And you could say it was democratically voted on, but yeah.
I guess the argument from their side is, no, the democracy happened when you passed the 14th Amendment and when you put in the interstate commerce clause and made it broad as hell during the Constitutional Convention. That's where the true democracy happened. And in that moment, you didn't realize it, but what you did was you got rid of segregation in schools when you passed the 14th Amendment. And when you passed Article 1 of the Constitution, what you did was you gave Congress the authority to regulate purely intrastate activity because of the effects on interstate commerce.
Fuck, hold on. What wasn't the wasn't the decision on that changed? Oh God, you're gonna test my knowledge here.
What do you mean? There's a case that really tested the outer bounds of it, where in dissent I think is actually one of the most, I think personally my favorite position of Clarence Thomas's is a case called, I think, Gonzalez versus Rake, where there's a woman who totally farmed herself marijuana just for her own personal consumption. They made sure to get the most sympathetic cancer patient that existed, who was not selling it to anybody, just purely for her own consumption. The question was, can the Controlled Substances Act be constitutionally applied as to this individual, not selling it, not putting it into interstate commerce? And the answer was, yeah, it can be, because conceivably her personal use is potentially decreasing the price of illicit marijuana, because she would otherwise be a consumer of marijuana, and because she's growing it for herself, that's affecting the interstate price of, I'm sure I'm butchering the rationale, but something to that effect. That was the latest word on the Controlled Substances Act. There's been some limitations in the Affordable Care Act case, but still to this day, like, the interstate commerce clause is pretty broad. And the response from, I guess, the people on the sides of the Civil Rights Act is, well, these laws were democratically elected. You decided to have the Supreme Court. It's pretty clear that the Supreme Court is supposed to interpret federal law and specifically the federal Constitution. And so you signed up for that. And so this is democracy working. But of course, that's kind of I don't know, maybe that's a results-oriented approach.
What do you want, Ruminate? Okay. Base.
Well, for a minute there, it looked like it was Destiny and Sedge and v Pisco on the subject of the Electoral College. So I was listening the whole time, and I'm thinking, okay, I think I want to respond to this, and this, but then the conversation moved on. Say what?
They're dodging because they won't say it with their chest.
Wait, say what? What am I dodging? I don't even have you came here to debate Sedge, not me.
I came here to talk to you and Sedge.
Wait, hold on, wait. What am I dodging? Hold on.
Are you okay? Do you agree that there ought to be a federal constitutional right to vote for president?
No.
Why?
Because I think that states ought to have the right to decide on the president.
Why should there be a federal constitutional right to vote for the House of Representatives? Because you've already agreed that you want to get rid of the
because I think citizens ought to have some sort of representation in front of Congress, and I think the House of Representatives is a good way to do that.
To be clear, just to be clear, you want state governments in charge of themselves. You want state governments in charge of the Senate, and you want state governments in charge of the president.
No, I've said in the past that I think there's some give between the Senate and the Electoral College. That if you wanted to, whether it's moving the filibuster over to the House or rebalancing the House or changing up how the Electoral College is balanced versus the Senate is balanced, like you can give it one of these areas.
The only thing you're giving on is the House. The only thing where you say that the states should not have the power to put the members is one body of a bicameral Congress.
Sure, but like you could, like, I don't think it would necessarily be the worst thing in the world to have like a popular vote if given the composition of the Senate. This is something we've discussed in the past, right? Usually when I argue against people that want to get rid of the Electoral College, they also want to do something with the Senate and they want to completely rebalance the House as well. But I think that states need
let's assume that I'm not, don't give me that baggage. I'll go there. But
sure.
Now,
okay. So you're talking about just one singular change.
Ultimate control over everything.
Sure. I think that states have a lot of power right now. But if you're talking right now, you want to make just one change and you're not going to fuck with anything else. The next thing isn't like, okay, now I'm going to pack the courts or whatever autistic shit progressives want to do with everything in the government, right? If you just want to make one change, then I think having a popular vote is okay. Because I think states already have a massive amount of power in the Senate in terms of state representation. I don't know if they need it with electing the president as well, especially as we're starting to get deeper and deeper into elections where you still hear Republican dipshits say things like, well, we elected Trump. Well, we elected Trump. No, the people didn't elect Trump. The states elected Trump. I think Trump might have lost the popular vote by more than I think any president in history
like
against
2
Hillary.
million or something. Yeah. In terms of raw numbers, I'm not sure. But
yeah, in terms of raw numbers, I'm pretty sure it was more votes lost than any other president in history. So yeah, like if you leave everything else the same, I'm okay with doing a popular vote. I think that's okay. It was by almost 3 million votes he lost to Hillary Clinton, 48 points to 46 points. Yeah, but if you want to start
getting rid of the Electoral College.
If that's the only thing you want to touch, but usually people that want to get rid of the Electoral College have a whole bag of things they want to get rid of.
You know what? I believe in compromises. I believe in
my favorite ways to rebalance the government would be the Senate stays the same. You can toss the Electoral College, and then but you don't fuck with the House of Representatives. Like you don't rebalance or anything, but move the filibuster to the House. Those are the two things I would want to change. I think that would be cool.
You know what? We can talk about the filibuster thing. I think that the houses should be in charge of their own rules, and so if House wants to have filibuster, I think that they should have the right to impose it. But I wouldn't mandate it for them. I think that's a matter for them. I'm okay with them deciding that.
I think that a 51 state filibuster in the Senate is rough. That's a lot of power to the states. Maybe too autistically so. I think that moving that power to the House, I think, would be okay. So tossing the filibuster from the Senate and then moving that action to the House, I think, is okay. Because keep in mind too, the House still favors smaller states, nowhere near as much as the Senate, but the House still favors smaller states. So if you can't get a filibuster going in the House, that's on you. Fuck you at that point, I think.
But we're getting rid of in your ideal system, as you just said, we're getting rid of the Electoral College.
I think it'd be okay to do that. Yeah.
All right, man. So Sejin, looks like you're by yourself.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I'm sorry, I'm a dick. I think you're cool, man. I didn't mean to come off super bad. It's been a long day, right?
All right, I'm gonna bring up one more argument.
Yeah, let's go.
And I want you to listen, be nice and good faith, because I'm curious.
For once in your fucking life. Ooh.
Part of the Electoral College, to me, guarantees a quick transfer of power after the election. Because even if you lose a candidate due to like disease, terrorist attack, whatever, the Electoral College.
You're really focused on this, but okay.
Because I think a quick transfer of power is super important to our Constitution.
I also think that they should be allowed to acclimate and to wind things down too. There should be a balance, right? It shouldn't just be, okay, on one day, right after you're elected, you have to figure everything out. You have to have your team is ready to go. You have to hire everyone that needs to be ready to you need to be ready to run the government the day after the election. You think that's smart? I think there should be some time, right?
Well, you do have time until November until your inauguration. There's a lame duck.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you're okay with the period we have?
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't.
okay.
I don't need to change that in my system.
Well, you would have to elect someone new, right?
Oh, in that case, right? But like, it's the same problem. It's the same problem as the electoral college. There's no difference there. And all I can do.
Electoral college can nominate a similar candidate, and they can take over in the interim.
Where's the provision for that allows them to do that? But I assume that's
giving
probably
them
what
the
would
power to
happen.
do it.
Listen, I don't know. It hasn't been tested because guess what? It's never happened in our history, and so I don't
Didn't it happen
necessarily.
once where someone actually like literally died, and they changed their
U.S. president? No.
I could have sworn I've heard this before.
I believe Harrison died like a month into his presidency, or
Yeah, I don't think it was Harrison.
presidency, but no one died on the way to the White House. But anyway, it's a non-issue, right? Anything you tell me, I can just say, as a backup, if the president-elect and the vice president-elect both get killed, or for whatever reason they can't exercise the office, it reverts back to the states to assign, and as a matter of whatever, the states will always assign electors just in case something happens to the president-elect as determined by the popular vote. You could just
that would be the electoral college.
It would be electoral college as a backup in the case that the president and vice president-elect get assassinated. It would be national popular vote plus backup electoral college. Nothing inconsistent about that. You could have that. If that's what you're spending every night worrying about is that particular situation that's never happened in our history, I could, just to make you feel better, I don't think it's the best system, I could just say, if anything happens, we revert back to electoral college for this crazy thing that happened.
How do you feel about the how do you feel about everything going on with Trump and potential charges and everything coming down for our big boy right now?
I think he's likely to be indicted for the confidential information, the documents case.
Mm-hmm.
Not so sure about the January 6th stuff. I just think that the standards for, I don't know if you remember when I was arguing with Rob about obstruction and the kind of intent requirements needed to make those cases.
Mm-hmm.
But they're hard bars, and there's like reasonable things that Trump could say in response to these accusations. It's like, even in the case of the incitement, which I think is like probably the least likely thing to be able to stick to him, where he could say, I didn't have the intent. We have to follow Brandenburg for attempted incitement, and that's a very high standard, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's helped. The Casey Hutchinson testimony helped in that regard because his knowledge and awareness of the fact that many of his supporters
We're
are
telling
armed,
him that there's
his awareness of that is circumstantial evidence. I think that speaks to his intent, and the fact that they're not a threat. If you credit that testimony, which there's no recording of it, it's just people have heard it and they've talked about it. So if you credit that testimony, if you think a jury would, maybe that gets you a little bit closer to an attempted incitement thing, but not so certain about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the easier one is kind of like the conspiracy to defraud the United States or something like that, where I honestly, I think the attempt to get Pence to throw out or to send back, which is send back is a euphemism for throw out, just so you all know.
Of course, yeah.
To send back the electors, that itself is, I believe that to be an attempted coup. And I think you do too, Stephen.
That
you agree that
I
if it
think
had worked,
so. Yeah.
That was an attempted coup by the president.
For sure.
It's the same thing we're seeing in Peru, by the way. I look at what President Castillo did, or ex-President Castillo, and to me, it's very little difference in substance to what Trump tried to do. And so I think that if there isn't a law against what Trump did there should be. But the documents thing, I think, is just, I think that they're building that case. I don't know if we'll see any real jail time, to be honest. I'm not sure. But
I was thinking of 1872. Horace Greeley died. He didn't end up winning this election, but he was second. And his electors voted for someone else.
Cringe.
Oh, that's cringe.
So just a couple of things going back to some stuff that was talked about earlier while I was listening. And I may be fudging the details here because it's been like 30 or 40 minutes. I've been half distracted. But number one, I thought that, the conversation between Pisco and Destiny are one of the tangents about, bad actors, people like Trump. This is something I think is really paramount, that you can't bad faith proof government. You just can't. I mean, you look at something like the United Kingdom, where most of their constitution, I mean, they call it, a constitution, but it's not written, right? It's not like the U.S. Constitution. It's a body of law and precedent and tradition that somehow these motherfuckers just observe. Like, I mean, obviously a lot of it is written, but it seems like the UK Parliament acts in just infinitely better faith than the modern American Congress, because you're talking about January 6th and whatnot. If you look at Pisco, you may remember, I thought it was like the 12th Amendment or whatnot, or it may have been in one of the articles of the Constitution, may not have been an amendment. But when they talk about how the Electoral College, how it will be certified, it very clearly says the president shall, open the ballots and the votes shall be counted. Very straightforward. Every constitutional scholar and historian agrees that the vice president's role is ministerial. They have no discretion to throw votes out or to choose not to count some votes. And yet, that was the theory that was peddled by many Republicans in Trump's orbit, even though it was as unambiguous as text can possibly be, to the point that even after the Electoral Count Act of 1887, which further clarified, no, seriously, he can't do shit. He just has to open the envelope, read what's on the envelope, not something else, move the envelope aside and go to the next one. That's literally all he can do. We now have another Electoral Count Act that just passed in this federal omnibus bill. So this is like the third fucking time we've been through this, where the government has to be like, hey guys, when we say that the vice president can't just like pick the new president arbitrarily over the popular or electoral votes, we really mean it.
Can I just say real quickly,
I'm not sure there's that continuity. But,
I love that. Do you remember that Peter Strzok text during the Mueller investigation?
Yeah.
I love that one text was enough to prove to conservatives that there was a widespread conspiracy throughout our entire intelligence departments to undermine Trump throughout the entirety of his presidency. But all of the testimony around Trump and everybody else isn't enough to convince them maybe Trump really did want to overthrow the election with absolutely no evidence and like without any legitimacy whatsoever. When it's like, so, oh my God, the evidence on both sides is just fucking hilarious.
Hang on a second, Steve. I'm not going to let you do that.
What?
You're going to get a bunch of messages from people who say, the only thing they have to go on for that is the Peter Strzok text.
Well, that's what they extrapolated from it.
No, that's not all they say. We can at least represent them.
What do you mean? The text that Peter Strzok and that one woman I think traded was, they were like, the things that Trump is saying is horrible, like, we won't let this happen or something. It was something like that. And then from there, they were like, this is evidence that not only is the FBI as part of Mueller's investigation corrupt, but it shows that all of the defense and intelligence are working together to undermine Trump's presidency.
Also, the fact that of the IG report, by the way, I do not think that the FBI was being used as a political tool against Trump. Just I'm putting that out there. But that's not what they say. They also point to the FISA application process for Carter Page. They point to statements made.
What was the ultimate issue with the FISA application for the FISA courts? Yeah.
For some of the renewals, or for at least one of the renewals, I believe there was a lawyer who was literally convicted of altering
about an FBI or CIA informant, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean that was a conviction.
Yeah.
So that was as part of the FISA application process. They point to, I mean, even Comey I think admits that they wouldn't have applied for the FISA warrant without the Steele dossier, and the conservatives would point to the Steele dossier and issues related to it, and I guess the lack of diligence on the part of the FBI to.
Okay, so the Peter Strzok message and the misrepresentation of
there's other stuff. I just wanted to.
Okay, sure. Okay, there. We'll throw that out there too. Okay. Do you think there's enough evidence to say that Trump is, in good faith, was probably trying to coup the democracy? Or do you think that that's ambiguous? Okay, gotcha.
100%. Not even a question. I mean, I'm curious anyone who denies that. I mean, imagine what they would say if Obama had said to Biden, send back the electoral votes to Trump and make them vote for Hillary. Would they call that a coup or wouldn't they?
Yeah, of course.
100%.
They're calling it a coup right now. They're calling the Twitter files a coup. The supposed suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story.
The bribe.
Yeah. So, yes, I think that about Trump, and I think that about the Republicans, that they absolutely, if the shoe were on the other foot, that they would 100% call it some types of coup, because it was. And there's no... Go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, so like even when in 2017, in January, when then Vice President Biden was presiding over the certification of Trump's victory, you had, I think it was 10 Democratic Congress people. I think it was 10. It was under 10 or under. You had 10 of them try to lodge objections. Like Maxine Waters was one, Jamie Raskins was one, to Trump victories in certain states. But they weren't formal objections because they couldn't get a single fucking Democratic senator to co-sign the objections.
Hang on a second. They do not get away that easy.
Say
they
what?
Do not get away that easy. I am not okay with the House Republicans objecting, even if there were
No. Those were. I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the House Democrats who didn't get a senator to sign on to their, according to the Electoral Count Act in 2016. I'm comparing it to 2020, which is
right.
Even if none of the Republican senators had ever signed on to any of the objections by the House Republicans, that in my mind would not absolve the House Republicans for having in the first place.
No, it wouldn't have. But what I was getting at is the scale difference. So what I was going to point out is not only did Democrats fail to launch a single formal objection to Trump's victory, like when people say, "Oh, they were,"
launch an objection. The House Democrats did object.
In order for the objection to be formal, it had to be co-signed by a member from each chamber, and it wasn't.
So they didn't follow the procedure enough so that the objection.
They verbally objected, yes. They informally objected, yes. They complained, but it wasn't a formal objection that could merit a vote because it needed a member of both chambers.
It was doomed no matter what. It was doomed whether the senator signed off on it or not. I mean that to me is the intent is what matters to me. The intent of people, say what you want about Trump's victory in 2016. That was a real victory. Trump won the election. And people say it's just like the House. I know this is not a view, Ruminate, but to me, I see very similar parallels to what's going on in 2022 with respect to the Republicans, and they're denying their losses. A lot of Democrats had it. They were denying 2016. They were in the denial phase. No, that election was lost according to the rules of how this is run, and I am not okay with people objecting without any basis to object. And those were all dead in the water, no matter if they had a senator or not. And so what I care about is the intent. And so just like I castigate the Republicans for doing it, I also take umbrage with the House Democrats for
you should, as did Vice President Biden at the time, where he even said, "Guys, let's just move on. He won. Enough's enough." But what I was getting at was, I understand that, but what I was saying was when it happened in 2020, we were talking about the difference in conduct and what would have happened if the shoe was on the other foot. You had 10 Democrats pitch a fit and fail to get any support from their colleagues to launch a formal objection. Meanwhile, in 2021, when Vice President Pence was certifying Trump's victory, 147 members of the Republican Party, not 10, not 47, 147 objected to Biden's victory, and that was after the Capitol was invaded. So what I mean is you compare these two behaviors, and yes, I agree, the Democrats should not, it was bad form, it set a dangerous precedent for them to complain about an election they lost, even if they felt that there was some measure of Russian meddling. But then Republicans take it and blow it wildly out of proportion, take it like orders of magnitude worse. So I was piggybacking off your point about what would have happened if the shoe was on the other foot. Well, we see what happens when the shoe is on the other foot. If they see something that, if Republicans see behavior from Democrats that they object to, when it's convenient, they will take that same behavior and run with it to extremes that Democrats simply don't. That's the scary thing. There's no limiting principle with this party. And yes, if President Obama had done what Trump did in 2020, if Obama had done it in 2016, if he had even said the words, if he said, if Hillary Clinton had said that she wouldn't commit to a peaceful transfer of power, or that she wouldn't commit to conceding the election if she lost, I can't imagine what would have happened. So the other thing I wanted to point out too from earlier in the conversation was when I think this topic was with Sejin about states. And again, I was half paying attention, but were you all talking about splitting California into multiple states to expand Democrats' electoral presence in the electoral college?
Yeah, we were trying to kind of stress test the truly, I don't know, the supremacy and primacy is the word I'm looking for, of states, and whether or not, what are they and do they matter?
Well, and Pisco, I assume, right, that Republicans did that in the late 1800s, that, when they, brought in the Dakota territories and split it into two, and Wyoming and Idaho, but sidestepped North Dakota, New Mexico, even though New Mexico had like twice the population of the Dakotas. They did that specifically to pad their votes in the Electoral College. States have always been, or I shouldn't say always, states have been for the last 150 years. New additions, states have been, newly added states have been political weapons for parties to pad their electoral votes. So,
other than the original colonies, I think that,
right.
For a lot of them, that's true. That's why I don't see anything necessarily sacred about the current allocation of political authority. Though I do agree that enough time has passed where I'm okay with everyone just chilling and being where they are. I'm okay with that kind of compromise.
Are we all in agreement here that there should be we should make it a law that the debt is uncapped?
Yeah.
Oh, the debt ceiling? Yeah. Yeah, it's stupid as shit.
Okay, just curious.
Wait, it was my understanding when we were adding states, the new states, that it was with the consent of the other, a super majority, right? When they add states.
It's Congress needs to essentially pass a law that says that there's a new state, and that's
how many votes do you need?
You don't need a supermajority. You just need Congress to approve it. When you're making partitions of states, or dividing a state or something like that, then you need the consent of the states themselves. But
wait, when you added, you only need 51 votes to add a state to the union.
It needs to pass, right? It needs to pass. Congress needs to pass a law that's the way it's always been done. At least it hasn't been tested any other way. That Congress has passed a law, the president has signed it. It's not clear whether or not at least I don't think it's clear. I don't know it to be clear that you need presidential approval. But that's the way it's been done. Congress
I think that they have to. The president still has to sign off on it, as is the case with all laws. But yeah, I don't. It certainly doesn't require an amendment, and I don't know if it requires a supermajority. But that's me talking from ignorance.
Loser.
You can't help it, man. It's 4 a.m.
It says new states may be admitted by the Congress into this union, right? But no new state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor any state be formed by the junction of two or more states or parts of states without the consent of the legislature of the states concerned as well as Congress. That's why I'm saying it's unclear whether the president has approval, because it says Congress, right? It's always been done with the president's approval, but the text says Congress. I'm not sure if Congress tried to do it without the president's consent, what the hell would happen? That would be kind of a weird situation. Though I agree that it should happen with respect to Puerto Rico.
What does it mean how many votes do you need in each house then, or in each chamber of Congress?
Congress needs to approve it.
What does that mean?
This whole, what do you mean, what does it mean?
How many votes? I'm asking.
Majority of Congress.
Just 51 or like 51%?
50 plus 1, right? Am I crazy? Am I crazy, chat?
Is it? That seems like way too easy and would have been like way more extreme in the adding states phase of our country.
What seems why?
Because if you
basically it's repeating the small state bias, right? You understand that. The fact that you have Congress deciding who becomes a new state means it's not an even playing field on the decision of the distribution of that power, right? The decision to even have new states in the first place is also subject to the bias in favor of small states. That's why it's not clean to say, well, they consented to the way things are, because I guess in a sense they did, and they consented to the way that new states are added too. So I guess in some sense they both consented to the current makeup and the procedure for adding it, which includes the small state bias. But just be aware that very often the small state bias repeats itself everywhere, literally everywhere, and not literally everywhere, in a lot of places. But I'm glad that Destiny, not Sejin, but Destiny at least, is on board with me and Ruminate that we should get rid of the Electoral College. I think that's a positive step in the right direction.
100%. Shit needs to go.
And on that note, folks, I gotta go to bed. It's fuck. But thanks for chilling, Sejin. Sorry for being an asshole to you.
Damn.
All good. Good night.
Right, yeah. Love you guys. Keep it real.
See you, buddy. Oh,
what the fuck are you doing awake? Is it 3 a.m., 2 a.m.? Where are you at?
I'm in Charlotte, baby.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're north. Yeah, you are. What are you doing awake?
Yeah. My sleep schedule's been fucked since I've been sick. I don't know about Sejin, but it's been pretty bad. I've been waking up like randomly in the middle of the night. Jesus. I'm a light sleeper anyway. What are you doing up at 4 a.m.?
My shit's fucked until I get fiber internet. Okay, I don't care. Fuck my life.
Listen,
you have fiber yet, or are you on like coax or hotspot?
I'm on a hotspot.
He's got a hamster and a wheel, basically running his internet. He's got dial-up.
I've got a good friend that works at AT&T that hooked me up with a sick fucking business hotspot unlimited plan, so that's what I'm rocking right now. It seems to be working okay-ishly, although my shit kind of died earlier, so I don't know.
What's the ETA for your fiber?
Hopefully night of the 3rd or morning of the 4th. Is hopefully.
Wow. Not bad. Hey, your interview on that your whatever the PDB thing, whatever, that was really good with the with Kevin Sorbo's wife. That was
Jesus.
That was, yeah.
They seem like they both wanted me to come back sometime alone, so that they seem like they'd be interesting guys to talk to. I actually really like that Adam guy. For something.
Which one was Adam? Who
Adam,
was
he was the guy that came out and simped hard for college. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, but he was the one. He was not the host. He was this I don't want to call him the sidekick. It's probably demeaning, but you know what I mean.
Like, yeah,
he
like
wasn't the main guy.
Yeah, he wasn't the PBD guy. He was the other guy.
Yeah. By the way, did you know that college and school are not the same?
That lady was something else, man. She was something else.
You were like, so wait a minute. Nobody in the 1700s was ever formally educated anywhere. Well, yeah, they were. It just it was more like college, also like school. No. College isn't school. Oh, okay. Just your facial expressions were hilarious.
Jesus.
Kalinsky was on there solo, so yeah, I think it'd be. You definitely have more substantive things to say than he does, but that's good.
Absolutely true, and absolutely.
Although he did a good job from like the hour that I saw, I will say, he saw about half of it. He did a pretty good job.
Correct.
What did you know that you were going to be like sharing the stage with somebody?
I had no idea. Adam texted me the night before. He was like, "Yo, do you want to come on tomorrow morning?" I was like, "Sure." That's what that text was I posted last night. Was like, "Hey, can you wear business attire?" And I just responded, "LeMayo."
Yeah. I told you just throw a tie on over it. That'd be
or my t-shirt.
Rocking a tie with your sweats. Yeah.
Based.
Yeah. And then I thought I saw another one that you did that came out today, and it was like 30 minutes long, but now I'm wondering if I'm making it up. Did you do 2 interviews today?
No, I did one. I was on some Todd and Emily show a while ago.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, it was more like dating-ish stuff, so. Oh, and then I think I might be going on Fresh and Fit tonight. That should be interesting if I do that. And then Just Pearly Things is in town. I might be on a show with her on the 6th.
I'm not familiar with Just Pearly. Fresh and Fit, that's the Red Pill like men's issue podcast that you and like Melina and Not So Erudite were on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that one,
Yeah. Yeah. Is it like, do they typically do the same topics, or is it like a free range?
Oh yeah. No, I feel like
conversation?
these types of shows talk about the same shit every single fucking day. That's what it feels like. I could be wrong though. I only see clips, so maybe it is. Maybe they change up a lot. I just don't notice it, but it feels like the same shit all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Sedge and I did not, like I said, I didn't want to get in there and telegraph our upcoming discussion about the Electoral College, but for a minute there, it looked like it was a 2v1 on Pisco, so I was like, well, if it keeps up, maybe I'll weigh in, but...
Wow.
Yeah.
Shamelessness.
We're going to have it in January. I know, I can't believe that Sedge, speaking of shameless, I can't believe that he's just simping hard for the Electoral College and completely undemocratic principles. I was shocked and appalled.
Oh,
well, we don't live in a democracy.
Oh, fuck me. Here we go. You got to throw an accent on it. You got to throw like a southern accent on it, and it'll be like I'm back in Kentucky. We live in one of them there republics. And there's just Cherry lingering in the background, being antisocial.
Uh-oh. Careful.
I'm just here to be useless and to trigger people.
Stop it. Have you triggered anybody today?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, that's mysterious. Can't wait to go back and review this VOD tomorrow while I'm at work. Oh. Do you read up on the Twitter files yet?
Which ones? What are the recent ones?
The one that you and I and Stardust and Connor were supposed to talk about, and know if you had like a chance just to even skim over them.
Oh, no. But we can go over it live. That's good. Shows everybody how we can research live and not be a dumb fuck and all that shit, so. Good practice. No. Shot. That this planet has like no vulcanite. I actually have to go find another one? Oh no.
That's the voice of somebody who is perilously close to finishing Factorio.
Oh yeah, I'll be finished. Oh, never mind. It's another big patch here. Thank God.
You think you'll be done by the 3rd when you get your fiber? You think you could like make it like a double commemoration, your new fiber and the end of Factorio?
Good one.
No, I've never played the fucking game. I don't know. You say like you're pretty far into it, but I don't know what that means.
Just don't worry about it, okay?
Well, we're ready for politics, man. We're ready to...
Just chill. We got 2 years for the election, okay? Calm down.
Oh, yeah. Hey, speaking of which, since Sedgen's on here... no, we already talked about 2024, and you're like, your brain's not ready to discuss that yet.
Damn.
Dude, why do I streamed twice, and like I get an email like every week from Streamlabs like, hey, there's a sponsorship.
What the fuck is this? You stream? Oh, I should read this. I don't care. Never mind. You get an email from Streamlabs. Oh, probably because they want you to stream and use their product, right?
They like do like they like offer you a sponsorship, like, but I streamed twice. Like, how does this look good to advertisers?
Maybe they were two phenomenal streams.
Yeah, maybe they just loved your streams, dude.
You're a streaming prodigy.
Are you eligible for Streamlabs like sponsorship and stuff, Destiny?
Probably. I would think so. No, I can stream, just not on Twitch.
Yeah, I figured.
Hey, do you ever think about doing like a Cozy or Rumble or anything like that? Some of those, like, you know how Gavin Newsom was on some of these right-wing platforms kind of trolling them and engaging with them? Did you ever think about that, or like putting out content on those?
If anybody invites me on their show, yeah, I'd go on, sure.
No, but I mean like starting up your own channel there. I don't know if they have streaming, if you could do like simul streaming or whatnot, but I know like Newsom was putting out pre-recorded videos famously throughout the past year. Or no, it was Truth Social. I'm sorry, it's Truth Social.
Oh.
But do you ever think about doing any of that?
Yeah, I thought about doing like streams on Cozy. Just it would be fun to argue with conservatives and shit there. But I think I have a channel on Cozy actually. I've never streamed on it, so.
Sure. Well, I guess since Pisco left and the debate about the Electoral College is over, I'm going to dip and try to go back to bed. But it was nice chatting with both of you. Sedge, I'm sorry, you still feel like shit, buddy. The steroid's not working?
You know, they told me I'd feel pretty good by day 2 or 3. End of day 2 right now, and still coughing, so hopefully tomorrow.
Are you vaccinated?
Not for flu. But
for COVID?
Yeah.
Well, if people find out that you're still sick in like a week and you're in Destiny's orbit, somebody's going to make a comment somewhere on some video saying that that's another side effect of the COVID vaccine.
True.
Sedgent wasn't crippled with bronchitis before, you know, his COVID vaccine.
That is true. Maybe it fucked you up. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah. But you didn't think about that, did you? You were just one of those Fauci sheep. You just did whatever Overlord Fauci told
That's what
you.
happens when you get the Fauci ouchie.
Yeah.
They told me to go to the hospital if I don't feel better by tomorrow, so.
Oh, shit. It's all over for you, buddy. Rip.
Yeah.
You have your like last will and testament and everything like set up?
I'm not worth enough.
You're worth something to us.
Remember
I'd like your.
I'll
get your. I want your bomber jacket. I want that leather bomber. I'd like you
Show up to my funeral, you can take it off my corpse.
Jesus.
Damn, that'd be dark. Hopefully you're like in a suit or something. But yeah. If not, I'll try to do it like very quietly. Destiny can eulogize you. Talk about the great work that you did in, you know, canvassing and, you know, helping save the Republic, putting his hard-earned money to use.
True.
He could be like, I trusted Sedgin with tens of thousands of dollars at various points.
And he came.
Got decent results.
Okay. I'm going to sleep too. It's fucking late
All
for
right.
me.
All right, bye guys. Have a good night.
Love you guys. Be careful. Rip. Wow. I cleared those fuckers out of here. Got them. Wait, is anybody else still in here? Nope. Jesus, why? Is this true?
Nigga trying to cook a motherfucking, damn, ham, a fucking.
Okay. Damn, there's 3 Annas for stream. Anna Voir, Anna Alicia, and Anna Ukrainian Anna. It's like our version of Andy. Should watch that Anna convo, should I? I wonder if Vosh's subreddit is fighting about it. That's how we can truly know how good it was. I hate capitalism so fucking much, he says as he writes on Reddit from his iPhone. Damn, was there no fucking thread? How long ago? Wasn't this convo yesterday?
Why did you play Silver Papa?
Used to be a loser, hanging with my loser friends. But the first time that we made out, made my neck hair stand on end. Oh, Starla, Starla.
Do most people in relationships actually like sleeping in the same bed with their partners? It's actually not comfortable at all. I don't know why it's not people do this. Jesus. Okay. I love going to sleep with your mom. Got him. Got them. Did you see that MAP debate thingy? Some 16-year-old was on a panel with a bunch of minor attracted persons. That's pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. Rip. But also a little fucked up. But pretty funny, let's be real. Jesus. Okay. I love you guys. I'll be back tomorrow. Maybe. Maybe we'll have something to do, but probably not. Be careful, duders. Third internet guy. I have it. I see it on my schedule. Oh god.